Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Friday weekly Ask Me Any Stock session. And today we'll be looking at the Singapore stock market. If you guys can see and hear me, just type a GM. I'll just take this opportunity to acknowledge all of you for just joining us. I think a lot of regular, people over here, audience joining us every week. Hi, good morning, Eugenia. Hi, good morning, Edward. Hi, Ray, Roy, Esther, Jason, Janet as well. Good morning. RLTKW as well. Good morning as well. I think you're very, very familiar. Definitely seen you joining us every single week. Morning, Michael, Ting, Josephine, Genevieve as well. Geneva, Raymond. All right. Good morning. Welcome to our Friday weekly Ask Me Any Stock session, guys. I think some of you are already typing in the name of the stocks, right, that you want us to analyze for you, right? Very good. Right. Later we'll do that, and that's exactly what this show is about, right? So very simple, guys. In our Friday weekly Ask Me Any Stock session, essentially we go live 10:30 a.m. every Friday, unless it's like a public holiday, right? So I think last Friday was like Good Friday, so we didn't do it. So now we are back again in action. Singapore market. So since last year, in fact, since like beginning of last year, we've been running for more than a year now, right? We have a lot of people joining us, and our clients in Philips Security joining us as well. Even the public, we're live on YouTube as well as on Facebook. So if you're looking at anything to do with stocks, all right, today is Singapore stocks. Next Friday will be US stocks. So we alternate between the Singapore and the US market, right? So what happens is this, right? We'll do a quick market outlook, all right? I'll look at the S&P 500 index, right? And even the Singapore's Straits Times index, the STI, because today is Singapore, right? So I'll look at STI very quickly. What has happened in the market? Are we starting to see strength? Is it a reversal? Or maybe it's a trap? Right? Or maybe you want to be careful, right? And that's what we'll discover later. And after that, we'll dive into the Singapore stocks that you want a quick opinion on. Very simple. Later, when you type in the chat, give us a bit of context, all right? Give us a bit of context, not just like this DBS, all right? Or give us a bit of context, right? What do you want to know about DBS, right? Or any stock that you want, right? Are you looking to buy, to sell? What price do you get in? Is it last week, last month? Right? What is it, right? So that when we go to analyze your stock, that's where we could give you a little bit more personalized an opinion, right, based on the context that you have shared. Does it make sense, Mark? All right, Ken. So that's what happened. All right, and at the end of this live show, right, we'll go on for maybe about 2 hours. That's what we normally do. So about 2 hours. At the end of it, that's where me and my team today, 2 of us will be over here, me and Bervin. All right, that's where we'll share with you 2, right? So I share 1, Bervin share 1. So 2 top Singapore stocks that you can potentially put in your watch list for maybe even more upside, because we have been seeing some really good bullish signals on my one good trend indicator as well, right? And just to share, right, today's show is sponsored by SocGen, right? By SocGen, whereby we'll be talking a little bit on some of the stocks that you asked, right? How perhaps you could magnify your returns, right, using a product called DLCs, Daily Leverage Certificate. So if you share a little bit more, just to spread a bit of awareness, right? So this show is sponsored by SocGen, right? So we'll share with you a bit more details as to how one can actually use this product, right? Just to amplify your returns, by more than 5 times, all right? Using this DLC. Okay, so let's get started. I see a lot more of you have joined us. Good morning. All right, thanks to the sponsors. And yes, awesome. Okay, so who am I? Well, my name is Joey Choi. In case you've never met me before, I've been doing this for more than 15 years now, right? And my forte is pretty much in stocks, right? We do Singapore stocks, US stocks, a little bit of Hong Kong stocks, but pretty much stocks, right? Not crypto, not Bitcoin. That's not my forte. My forte is in stocks. So if you're looking at stocks, great. And I use what I call the one good trend strategy, right? Which pretty much is about riding stocks along with the trend, right? So maybe this is an uptrend. We think about getting in along the trend. We have a tool to help us. I call it the 1GT Pro indicator, whereby in the middle of seconds we can turn it on, and we get to see the bullish and even bearish signals to guide us to take trades that are along with the trend. So I have what I call a 7-step checklist, right, to know exactly when to get in and maybe also when to get out as well. So now today I don't have time to share the entire strategy or the entire checklist with you. So it's a bit more on the stocks that you're asking, and then we pump, just talk about it, right? So if you can find a little bit more about the entire strategy, or perhaps how we do it very systematically, right, in a very simple, repeatable way, right? you can attend a free webinar. Just want to put this up front because in case I forget, right? So I think next Tuesday, right? Next Tuesday, 14th of April, all right, next Tuesday, 14th April, we have a webinar, right? 7:30 p.m. All right, the link is right in the chat. So click on it, register for this free webinar if you want to find out more. All right, that's where I come to share with you guys a bit more, especially in today's current market conditions, whereby we're seeing a lot of volatility in the market. You definitely want to learn what we call a proven strategy to guide you on what to do, right? Whether to get in or to get out, or maybe to not do anything as well, all right? Or to hold, or to wait, or to be patient, right? So link is right in the chat. Okay, now let me go ahead to get started, right? Let me introduce to you my team member who is joining me today, who are very well versed in the one good trend strategy. So Z and Jia is not with us today. They're working on other projects. With me, Bervin, right? One of the top brokers under me in Philip Securities, joining me for more than 5, coming to 6 years now, all right? Assisting in our teams, group coaching sessions, our one-on-one calls with our mentees. And Bervin is a CFA chartered holder, right? Pretty much one of the highest qualification one can ever get in the finance space. So maybe let me pass on the mic to Bervin to share a little bit of himself, all right, and how he can add value to you guys today, especially current market conditions, right? Bervin, go ahead.
All right, thanks Joey for the introduction. I mean, welcome back everybody for our weekly AMAS. Like what Joey have said, today we are covering the Singapore market. I think, as you guys know, last few days, quite exciting, right? With the ceasefire and everything, market starting to push higher again. But could it be a trap, like what Joey have mentioned? I mean, that is, of course, one of the valid concerns. And if you have thought of it, very good. So what do we do if we see a potential setup? I think that is what most people are saying. Hey, some of their stocks are going higher. Is it time to take profit? Is it time to stop losses for those that came down? It's in the reversal already. What do we do? So I like what Joey had mentioned, right? So we have this entire 1GT framework, right? Just to keep it simple. Do not need to overthink. Just follow a simple framework to be consistent. All right, like you guys attending this AMAS week after week after week. Just be consistent in your trading plan, consistent in how you filter out your stocks, how you pick the top 1% of stocks. In fact, I think that is what keeps your portfolio in the green. I think that's what's most important in times like this as well. All right, so without further ado, I'll pass the time back to Joey so he can quickly maybe bring us through the market.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so yes, let's get started, right? So very simple. Maybe we can take a look at the market right now. Just type an M in the chat, guys, if you want me to cover the market. So before you do that as well, go ahead to give me hit the like and share button. I think there should be like a button. Of course, if you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel or even a Facebook follow as well, hit the subscribe, hit the follow button so that when we go live in the future, you can be alerted. You will not miss out. All right. So, and yeah, show some love. Go ahead to hit the heart shape, like and share. That will really help out to reach out to a little bit more people as well to join us in this AMAS session. All right. Thank you so much. All right, for all the hearts and likes. Okay, very good. Okay, so now very simple. Just a quick disclaimer: whatever that's being shared today's session and all the other sessions as well is just for education purposes only. So please do your own due diligence, right? Not really asking you to buy or sell anything. I'm sharing with you guys our framework, the tools that we're using, all right, and you control your own decisions. Sounds good? All right. So there's a quick disclaimer as usual. Okay, and let's go ahead to get started right now, and we look at what we call the market, since a lot of you are asking about the markets, right? Dave as well, Alan, Andy, Pat Guan, Chief, a lot of familiar names, awesome, right? So market. Now let's take a look at the market right now. So those of you who have been following the market news, I think every day when you turn on the news, right, over the past one of a month since early of March, well, I think all of you would know about the US-Iran war that escalated a little bit, all right, when Trump retaliated and fired missiles into many of the Middle Eastern countries as well, all right? And of course, Israel, has also fired missiles into Iran. Iran retaliated, and yes, kind of escalated a little bit, right? And what happens is that the Straits of Hormuz is still effectively closed. Of course, there are now talks about reopening the Straits of Hormuz, whereby Iran actually threatened to attack ships that were traveling through the Straits, and that Straits alone accounts for 20% of the world's oil. So there's a huge supply disruptions, right? That's the reason why we've seen oil prices spike up over the past one over month, all right, to more than $110. So those just came down a little bit over the past few days due to some talks about a negotiation, about a potential deal right, that could be made. So Trump, right, just I think about one day before the deadline, or whereby he threatened to obliterate, right, Iran's energy infrastructure, all right, or even its civilians, bridges, all right, and highways and stuff, right? Well, thankfully, they have agreed to kind of like have a 2 week ceasefire, whereby there will not be any missiles flying around, and of course, hopefully there will not be any violations to these ceasefire. So, based on this 2 week ceasefire, I think it's a positive step forward. It's a positive step forward because all this while Iran has mentioned that they're not going to negotiate with the US, right? Because even before the war started, they were actually negotiating, right? But US actually launched missile on the very first day and killed its supreme leader. So Iran all the while mentioned since early of March that they will not be negotiating, all right? They will be fighting all the way. But however, over the past few days, right, at least there's a positive step forward. There is some form of official negotiation coming in. There's a proposed 10-point plan or a peace deal plan, right? 10 points that will pass from Iran to the US through Pakistan, who is the mediator. So that's a positive step, right, forward. It's something like what we have seen in last year when tariffs was announced, right? It escalated a little bit between US and China. Tariff got on from 45% to 50, 80, 100, 140%, right? And then it escalated. Of course, then that's where there were talks, there were negotiations, and things became better, right? So this is what we're seeing right now. I think both parties would not want to escalate it. All right, and made it worse. I think even for the US as well. Trump, of course, he's kind of like you want to make sure that things do not get out of hand as well. I think that's what I'm seeing right now because you can see that his approval ratings in terms of the presidency has been affected as well. Economy is not doing well. Oil prices is going up. People are complaining about economy recession, right? Even now talking about rate hikes as well. So you want to make sure that this doesn't get out of hand, right? So it's kind of like giving a little bit of a leeway, right, in terms of negotiation and increasing the deadline in terms of a ceasefire. So it's a positive step forward. I think that's the reason why we are seeing, the market pushing higher over the past 2 days. So let's take a look at the market. This is the S&P 500 index right over here. So you can see quite clearly, right? I've already turned on my 1GT Pro indicator. So I have this tool, right? And this is the tool that we've been using pretty much based on my one good trend strategy. We'll be using it to analyze your Singapore stocks as well. In a matter of seconds, even for the market, this is the market, not a stock, right? S&P 500 index. We can turn it on in seconds and it comes up with bullish and bearish signals. So let's take a look. There we go. All right. So before I talk about what is happening right now, let me just go back a little bit to what has happened last year when tariffs was actually announced. You can see right over here, in February last year, March last year, you can see we got actually 2 1GT bearish signals. So not so good, right? If you see a red color bearish signal means the market's a bit weaker, all right? Plus the short-term trend, look at the green line, it was actually turning from up to down, right? And there we go, right? Trump talked about tariffs, all right? It threats were made as well. And we went all the way down from about 6,002 to around 5,500, right? So that was where we saw weakness. However, after that bullish signal, the 1GT bullish signal got triggered in May, you can see that that's where we started to see a very strong reversal, all right? Of course, the short-term trend also started to turn up. The green line turned up. Now, let's just go back to what has happened over the past 1 over month, right? So same thing, right? For the US market, well, we were actually capped. This is the S&P 500 index. Bhavin, please place the banner up, right? You can see that this 7,000 is a very key resistance level right over here, right? We have been touching it since December, January. Touch, came down, touch, came down. So if you ask me in January and February, right? Actually, it's okay. Why not? I was even thinking that maybe the market could attempt to break the 7,000 and push even higher. Right, but of course, nobody know that in March, early of March or end of Feb, that's where Trump will actually launch missiles into Iran, right? But it was actually quite okay. It was consolidating sideways. However, of course, since early of March, well, that's where the war started between US and Iran. The Middle East conflict actually escalated. We got the first 1GT bearish signal right over here. The second one came out, and then we started to hit even lower. All right. Now, what has happened is that we have hit lower. But over the past few days, because of this ceasefire agreement, right, finally official talks are ongoing, all right, it's going to begin. Of course, hopefully, there will not be any violations in terms of the ceasefire. So I would say that the situation has been quite volatile. I think all of you know that Trump has been going back and forth, seesawing between combative and conciliatory comments, all right, regarding the war, all right? So one moment he threatened to obliterate, to fire missiles. The next moment he mentioned that, they're going to go into negotiations, all right? And if you remember as well, a couple of weeks back, he mentioned that even without a deal, the war will actually, the war will end soon in like 1 or 2 weeks, right? Even without a deal, right? They want to get out, right? Because you have achieved the military objectives, right? Far exceeded the objective as well, right? So you want to get out of the war. So it's back and forth, right? And don't end, right? Threaten and then pull back again, right? So it's very volatile, right? However, what I've seen is that over the past like 1 to 2 weeks, we potentially may have found a bottom, right? And this would be a key level. So I mentioned previously as well that 6,200 would be a very key support level. Why? Because that was where we were since June, July, August, right over here, and we staged a very strong recovery. So I was kind of expecting that we might hit towards here, and then some good bargain hunting can come back. Anywhere from 6,002 to 6,003, right over here. But over the past week, it seems like buyers have started to already come out for the market, right? Seems like early of last week, right over here. So definitely, guys, I would say that we're not entirely out of the woods, because anything can happen, right? Based on what is happening right now in the market, I think you guys know anything can happen, all right? There could be a violation of the ceasefire agreement, or maybe, US could start firing missiles into Iran and then escalate the whole thing again, right? And then no more ceasefire, right? Anything happen, right? But from the charts, right, what I can tell you is that we are indeed seeing some form of stability. We are hopefully seeing some form of a bottom being found, right? The support has gone even higher. It's something like, in April, you can see, right? We found a bottom right over here around the 5,000, and we got a higher support. So it didn't actually go back down to retest that previous support and go lower. No, right? We found a bottom, the first support, the first low. 1, 2 weeks later, we got another low, and the low became higher, right? A support has been found higher. Well, that's a sign of strength, so that buyers are starting to come in a little bit faster, all right? Coming to bargain hunt, coming to getting on dips. The market has started to rebound a little bit. It's no longer going down to the support, breaking the support, and then going lower again, and breaking support and going lower. No, right? It's even attempting to push higher. So that's a sign of strength, right? Support have gone even higher. That was what we've seen in April. Now, let's take a look at what has happened over the past 2 weeks. So you can see that same thing. We got a support right over here coming out, right? As I mentioned, I expected it to be around 6,002, but 6,003 already come out, right? Over the past week, the support has gone even higher, all right, to around that 6,500 level. So something like what we've seen previously in April last year, right? After the tariffs was announced, all right? You've seen the higher support. Of course, the bullish signal came in. There we go. Now, same thing over the past 2 days, right? We got a 1 GT bullish signal finally being triggered. That was on Wednesday night. Of course, yesterday night went up a little bit more, all right? So definitely what I'm trying to say is that there are some signs of strength. A lot of money is on the sidelines, all right? Those funds that have been sitting on the sidelines waiting to come back in are coming back in. People are rushing to get in already, all right? So we're not entirely out of the woods. Doesn't mean it's going to go all the way up and then break the 7,000 and become 8,000, 9,000. No. I don't think that will happen, right? Because the situation is still not entirely solved yet. But what I'm saying is that there could be some form of a potential bottom being found, all right? We have started to see a potential reversal just starting to take shape. We've got some confirmations in terms of a higher lows, higher support. We got a new 1 GT bullish signal as well, all right? However, the short-term trend, right? Look at the green line. Look at the green line. You can see the green line previously. The green line, it was like down, up, correct? And then we got a bullish signal mark, correct? Right over here, okay? So we got a bullish signal, and then there we go, right? Now let's take a look at the green line that represents the short-term trend now. Let's look at the green line, okay? So I would say that the green 20 days moving average line, same thing, right? It was like in February, it was like flat. Then after the war started, then it went down. Then got bearish signal down, right? Now is what? Type in the chat, guys. Type in the chat. What do you guys think about the green 20 days moving average line? Is it up, down, or maybe flat? Up, down, or flat? Let's type in the chat. What do you guys think about the green 20 days moving average line? That kind of like give us a bit of an idea of the short-term trend. Up, down, or sideways? What do you guys think? Okay, let's see, right? Jared, thank you so much. Flat, Shirley, flat as well. User say reversal up. Horse turning up, up. All right. Andy say up as well. Linda say going up. Now let's go to look at it. All right. So flat, right? A little bit of up, a little bit of down, but I'm glad that all of you never say down lah. Oh, I mean, it's not down, ma. I mean, if you ask me in like here, in like in March, then confirm it's down lah. Right here is confirmed down, ma. Right? But you ask me now, I think all of you, at least you all never bluff yourself lah. It is not down already. Correct? Whether flat or up, you see properly, but it's not down. Make sense? All right, so let's see properly. Okay, so I would say that the green 20 is moving average line. Well, I would say flat to a little bit up, right? But it's not down. Correct? So that is where we, as I said, that would be another confirmation whereby we could have potentially found a bottom, right? Something like I say, like in April, right? It was like down. I flat like for 1-2 days, then after start to point up, and then all the way up. Make sense? All right. So same thing, right? That could be what we're seeing right now. We got a bullish signal. The green line is flattening out, maybe a little bit pointing up, right? We need a bit more confirmation, right? But I think if we can stay above that support, so right now I would say support, all right? It used to be like 6,005. I think now the support has gone even higher. It could be all the way up to around that 6,700 level again, right? So we've gone back above that 6,700. All right, if you can stay above the 6,700, I think that's where the green 20 days moving average line will slowly start to reverse up more firmly, all the way, all right, until if we can retest that same 7,000, right? 7,000, right? If that breaks, I can tell you, we would even see a new 1 GT bullish signal. And that's where the upside can continue even firmer for the entire market, right? I don't think it will happen soon, as I say, because we're still not entirely, we're not entirely out of the woods yet. The market is still unstable. This ceasefire after 2 weeks, what happens after 2 weeks? Nobody know, right? But after 2 weeks, it could be, let's extend another 2 more weeks, or extend another 1 more month because still need time to negotiate, right? Or it could be, well, since we're not able to make a deal, we can, go back to fighting again, right? And nobody knows, right? But at least what I'm trying to say is that there's some form of a positive development, all right? And people are starting to rush in. I think there's some form of what we call both parties in terms of the US and Iran, even for Israel and Lebanon as well, whereby there was kind of like missiles being fired into Lebanon, but now same thing. There are talks about potential negotiations going through next week as well. So all the parties involved are starting to move towards the phase of official talks, all right, and de-escalation, and that's what we're seeing right now, and then where the market is kind of like pricing that in. Funds are slowly coming back in again. All right, Ken? So that is pretty much what is happening in the market. Of course, inflation pressures, oil prices are still elevated. All right, and there's now the talk about rate hikes as well, because inflation is going up. The Federal Reserve might need to hike rates, right? But I think overall right now people are looking a lot at the what is happening in terms of the Middle East war. All right, okay. So that is this my take right now on the S&P 500 index. Not too bad. It could be a potential bottom being found. That's where you want to start putting some of those good stocks in your watch list, especially if you get bullish signals. All right, that's where we could see even more upside. That's where the reversal could continue even more. Okay, Ken? So this is the S&P 500 index. Let's take a look at what we call the STI. So STI, since today is the Singapore market, right? STI. Well, let's take a look at the Straits Times index right now. Right. So you can see this is the STI, right? 4,982. Bervin, help me change. Very good, right? You see right over here that STI, well, we also sold off in March due to the Middle East crisis, right? We got a 1 GT bearish signal. Previously in November and December, look at this, right? We got 2 bullish signal. We covered it as well. The market was very strong. Singapore has been really resilient. I would say strong since May, July, June last year. Or you can see we've got a couple of bullish signals. We had the MAS, or kind of like announcing the equity market development program, $5 billion. It's being allocated to the Singapore equities as well. All right, a lot of initiatives being made by the government as well, and we've seen a lot of strength. The long-term trend is up. Look at the red and the blue line. Up since like last year, right? Of course, it's still up. So long-term trend has been up since last year, in case you're still wondering when, right? Very strong rally, very strong uptrend. But in the short term, it doesn't mean it's always up, right? Sometimes it can go down, right? You can see that in March, well, the green 20 days moving average line that was like going up in November, up, actually started to go down, right? Because why? The war started, right? US got hit, Singapore also got a little bit affected, and we also triggered a 1 GT bearish signal. All right, so a bit of weakness, right? So if you ask me in 5th of March, early of March, second week of March, I would say a bit more cautious, take some profit if you want, because we don't know how, things can go, right? I mean, of course, now the ceasefire, like how 1 month before got ceasefire, nobody knows, right? So if you ask me early of March, it's still a little bit early to say. It could escalate it could get worse, all right? And that's where we have seen some short-term retracement. However, over the past 1 week, all right, you can see that the green 20 days moving average line. Type in the chat, guys. Type in the chat. What do you guys think about the short-term trend for the STI, for Singapore's market? The short-term trend, up or down? Up or down? The short-term trend for the Singapore Straits Times Index, right? Is it up or down? Let me know. What do you guys think? Okay, Jared, up. Gloria, thank you so much. Up as well. Athena, up. Josephine, up. I'm very happy that all of you never say down. I mean, it's not down. If you ask me in March, then yeah, correct. That one is down, okay? But when we look at the green 20 days moving average line, that represents the 20 days moving average. That give us an idea of the short-term trend, all right? Well, it has turned from down in March to like last week, start to turn up. Remember for S&P, it's like a bit up, like not very clear, huh? But STI is up already, right? Not yesterday or what, since last week already up already. All right, so it's a bit different. As I say, Singapore is much more resilient. People are starting to come in already. We have seen the banks tending to push a bit higher, like OCBC, and leading the STI a bit higher. Plus some of the technology stocks as well in the Singapore market pushing higher as well. All right, they've been holding really well. Maybe we can cover some of those stocks as well, right? But STI has been pretty much, resilient, right? The short-term trend has turned from down to up. All trend indicators are positive, right? The only thing right now is that, we got this 1 GT bearish signal that popped up in March, still hanging there, right? We have not got the bullish signal. We have not got this, I see previously you also got one bearish signal, right? You can see once we get the bullish signal come out, the first one, and then second one will go out even faster, all the way up, right? So we haven't got that bullish 1 GT signal yet, correct? How many of you want to know, want to be alerted if this 1 GT bullish signal come out? How many of you want to be alerted? Type A for alerted, guys, if you want to be alerted when this 1 GT bullish signal come out. Let's say come out over here. Type A for alerted, guys, if you want to be alerted, let me know. Type A for alerted. All right, Freddie, me, A, alerted, awesome, right? I also want to be alerted, right? But you haven't come here. Please don't ask me when you come out. I also don't know, but when you come out, then I will sure know. Okay, Ken, how do I know? Well, that's where what I could do is to type in the STI like what I'm seeing right now, alerted, right? So you can see what happens is that, when it comes out, then I'll be able to see I can this is the STI, right? Singapore Straits Times Index. So I can just type STI in the chart and you can see it right over here popping out if it pops up, right? I don't know when you pop out, okay? What I can do is also to set an alert. So I could right click, add alert, all right? One good trend pro, buy or sell alert. So if any bullish or bearish signal comes up from the market, I can be alerted. All right, alerted by what? Right? They call me or what? No. Basically very simple. Alerted by app notification. Your app will ting one sound. All right, there's a toast notification, something like a pop up, or even send me email. So I used to choose all these things, but too many emails, so I never choose that. Right, but basically I can be alerted. Right over here if there's a new 1 GT bullish signal right over here. All right, so I think that would be where we can get another confirmation like this when we get the first one all the way up. So this bullish signal can come out. Okay, let me just show you what is happening now. You can see that right now. If I can turn on the trailing support and resistance, you can see this trailing support or this trailing resistance level is around the 5,000. So over the past 1 month, you can see we are kind of like capped below the 5,000 level. Right? Touch, then we come down. Last week, touch come down. Today also around there, touch come down. So this 5,000 now it's not. Now it's 4,983. Right? I think today yesterday we went to above 5,000, then come back down. So this 5,000 is a very critical psychological resistance level. If we can go above that 5,000, all right, we go to 5,050 or 5,100 or 5,000 something that is where we would trigger what we call a new 1 GT bullish signal. And that's where I would say this green 20 days moving average line will start to point up even more as even more confirmation. All right? And we may even see a second 1 GT bullish signal as well. Right? So all that will give us more confirmation that the market will be even stronger. The upside momentum will be coming back even faster. All right, Ken. So as I said, guys, today I don't have time to share with you the whole strategy or maybe how you could have access to this tool as well. All right, you could attend a free webinar next Tuesday. It's kind of like a last webinar that we are running due to a lot of people asking about it, right? I'll probably not be doing it in the next 2-3 months. This is not really my full-time job. So just want to share with you guys. Next Tuesday, 14 April, 7:30 p.m. All right, the link is right in the chat. Let me just go to pull out and show you right over here the link as well. So link is right in the chat. Click on it and you come to this page right over here. All right, right over here. Let me just show you this page. Right, how to 3x your stock portfolio in 2026 with my one good trend framework. Right, so 14 April, yep, correct, confirm. 14 April 2026 Tuesday, 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. Right, where? On Zoom. Right, on pretty much on Zoom. Right, so it's online. It's online. You don't have to travel anywhere or what. You can just learn in the comfort of your own home. All right, this is what we'll be covering. Secret number 1. Right, why trend trading is one of the simplest strategy that you definitely want to master in 2026, especially in current market conditions. Right, to capture the opportunity that we are seeing in the markets, right? Very, very critical, right? What we're seeing right now, there's a huge opportunity and you definitely don't want to miss out on it, especially if things are starting to reverse and you're still waiting and thinking and hoping and then maybe waiting for it to go down some more, all right? And then everything rebound and you're still like waiting, don't know for what. You want to know when to get back in, all right? So that's where we'll be talking about this strategy. We'll be talking about the tools that we're using and also how do I filter out like the top 1% of stocks in seconds, all right? To guide you on when to get in and also when to get out as well. So link is right in the chat. Next Tuesday, 14 April, I'll see you guys. You're going to find a bit more about the one good trend strategy. So STI right over here, I would say not too bad. I'm not too sure exactly when we will break the 5,000. It could be next week. All right, it could be next week. But I think when that happens, it could be even more bullish. All right, and that's why we have got the confirmation that we need, right? Something like what we've seen over here in October, all right, right over here, or November, right over here. Okay, Ken? Okay, now let me go on to the next part of today's AMAS show, all right, and that will be pretty much going through the Singapore stocks that you guys want a quick opinion on. So do me a favor, go to type in the chat, right? Type in the chat the Singapore stocks that you want a quick opinion on very quickly. Let me just go ahead to pick the very first stock for today, right? So as I say, those of you who take the time to type a little bit more, right, put in a bit of effort to give us a bit of context, like, what price do you buy? Are you looking to sell? Are you looking to buy? Or you don't know what to do, all right? Or you got in last year, right? A bit of context. That's why we'll give you more priority. That's why we'll choose the stocks and put it on the stage. Everybody can see your comments and then we'll go ahead to analyze it live, all right? Okay. Wow, seems like a lot of people asking about Sheng. Siong. Let me see. Where go? Wow, Siong. Okay, let's just choose Siong. Right. Let me just pull out Siong. I think quite a lot of you asking about Siong. Right. Where is it? Okay, take a look at this. Melina, good to have you over here. Good morning, team. Could you look at Siong chart for support and entry levels? I don't have a position, but thinking of getting in since the price has come down slightly. So better entry level. So looking to get in. Thank you so much, Melina. Thanks for giving us a bit of context. Let's see, Joel also. Please share about Siong. Is it good to enter as it broke above $3 or so? I assume, Joel, you're looking to enter, looking to buy lah. Okay, let's see whether it's time to buy or maybe by right, you could have gone in a bit earlier already. Okay. Let's see one more. Jeffrey also asking about Siong. I bought Siong. Finally bought. You bought at $2.25. Now it's what price? Siong. Let's see. Oh, you bought 225. Now it's 306 already. Not too bad. 306. So you sure make money lah. Very good. Okay. Whether currently to take some profit or to hold for even more upside, right? So some want to get in, some for Jeffrey, I think you already got in previously at a lower price, somewhere around here, 225. I think I'm not too sure whether you saw this bullish signal, but for Siong, we had a couple of a bullish signals. So you're looking to maybe get out or maybe take some profit. Let's take a look, right? So this is Siong right over here, guys. You can see that for Siong, I will not go too far, but I already turned on what I call the 1 GT bullish and bearish signal. So Siong has been in a very strong, I would say, longer term uptrend since like, last year. All right, look at this. The red line pointing up, blue line pointing up, red above the blue. So the 100-day simple moving average is above the 200 days moving average. So the stock is in a very strong longer term uptrend. All right, longer term uptrend, but doesn't mean in the short term it cannot go down. Well, look at this, the green line, you can see it can also go down. All right, February it went down. Right, same thing over here. It start to flatten out. Right, it start to flatten out. Right, so normally we want to get in when the long term trend is up plus the short term trend is also up. That means the green line also pointing up. Plus, if we get some bullish signals coming out as another confirmation. Now let's go to take a look at the bullish and bearish signals. Pump, there we go. So you can see that for Siong, all right, it was actually one of the top performing plays since last year, all right? Since like April last year, we got the very first 1 GT bullish signal, another one, and then another one. So we went all the way up, I would say, from like April last year, all the way until we got a bearish signal, 79%. 79% in like about 10 months, right? In 10 months. Of course, now when you see a bearish red color signal, all right, that was in like 11th of February, even before the war started, we got a 1 GT bearish signal. I think 79%, you can take some profit. I mean, quite a lot, right? Get out, take some profit. You can see the green line also started to point down. So we actually saw some short-term weakness since early of Feb. Now, let's go on to what has happened over the past 2 to 3 weeks. So this was actually one of the stocks that we shared with our clients in Phillip Securities, because we actually got a 1 GT bullish signal being triggered, to be exact, on the 27th of March, right? 27th of March, you can see we got a 1 GT bullish signal. Another one just popped up over the past 3 days as well. We got a second 1 GT bullish signal. So what I like is that for Singtel, you can see that what the long-term trend has been up since last year. The green 20 days moving average line, right, that represents the short-term trend. It was like down, 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 flat, pump. We got a bullish signal. It started to turn up, and that's where we have sent out a note, because we've got some position as well to write that reversal. Right, to write the reversal. Now, let's go to take a look at what is happening right now in terms of, if there could be more upside. So I'll say right now, for Sheng, we have broken what we call this $3. Right, over the past few days, we have broken this $3 psychological resistance level. That was the level whereby you can see in February we neared it. We got a bearish candlestick, something like what we call a reversal doji, right? Few days later, a bearish signal popped up and we went all the way down. So this $3 is a very key psychological resistance level, right? If we were to near it, all right, that's where selling can happen. But over the past few days, you can see that we got a second 1 GT bullish signal popping out. Why? Because we actually broke above that $3 psychological resistance level. So this is a sign of strength, because previously we hit it there and we came down, right? But now we never come down. We broke above the $3. So that's a sign of strength. That's a sign of strength, right? That's where I would say that we could potentially see even more upside if we were to hold above this new $3 levels. Let me just put this $3 as a new horizontal support level. So now the price, you see a little bit of profit taking today, I think near 320. That's where we could see maybe a bit of a temporary resistance level, so like from $3 to 320. So you can see a bit of profit taking from 320 today, quite a bit of a sell down in terms of a bearish candlestick being spotted. But the market is not closed yet, so now it's like 306, 307. If we can hold above the $3, I think it is still okay. Trend indicators are still positive. Bullish signals are still in play. All right, and if I can turn on what I call the trailing support level, right, just to give you a bit of an idea, you can see this trailing support, the green line right over here that follows and trails the candlestick as it moves higher. You can see it's up, flat, follow. It's right over here around the 293, right? Slightly lower, but why? Because that's where we have given it a bit of space for the stock to breathe. So as long as we stay above the trailing support, good. All right, it's still looking bullish. We may see a bit of a retracement near it. It could even be an opportunity to get in on dips. Right, so anything above $3, anything above like 293, I think it looks okay. That's where some bargain hunting could actually come back. Now let's go to see what has happened. I mean, previously you can see in April last year, we've got the bullish signal. The trailing support actually popped up, right? As I say, this trailing support, it gives the stock the space to breathe. You go up, I follow you up more. All right, but don't follow too closely. You give it some breathing space. Give it some breathing space. You account for the volatility of the stock. But all this while, from April last year to like February, you can see the trailing support has been following it, right? Up, flat, up, flat, up, flat, follow, right? Follow from 150, follow until 270, and then finally, pump, we broke it, we got a bearish signal, right? So same thing, right? The trailing support has followed, of course, it only started going up, so only follow a bit, right? But as long as we stay above it, the uptrend is intact, all right? We could still see a bit of profit taking in the short term here and there, right? But it still looks okay, especially above $3, or maybe above that 293, 294 level. Okay, so this is Sheng. I hope that it helps. I hope that you've taken note of some of the key levels. 320 will be the immediate resistance level. If that breaks, target could be revised all the way to maybe the $3.50 as well. All right, so that's for Sheng. Let me pass on the mic to Bervin to cover the next Singapore stock for today. Bervin, yours?
Thanks, Joey. Okay, let's see. I think quite a few of you are also asking about this stock, right? Z74, Singtel, Yatri is asking about it. All right, I think one more here. Where is it? Ray bought Singtel last month from suggestion not to accumulate. Not seems to be not moving. Okay, I think one more recent one. So quite a few. Let me just cover pull down the comments first. My chart will be covered. Okay, so hide this. Okay, so this is Singtel. Okay, the stock code is Z74 as said by Yatri. Okay, so I think for Singtel, more recently, I'm not too sure if everybody saw the recent news that those of you guys who have the Singtel discounted shares are previously allocated to you, now you are able to transfer it to CDP, sell it for cash. As of 8 April, you will be able to sell it for cash. So a tiny little windfall right there, I would say. Not too bad, especially where prices have already ran up quite a little bit. Right, over the last year or so, you actually see Singtel consolidating at higher and higher levels. All right, so right now, I would say if we just look back just a little bit, all right, we can see that for all the lines that I've drawn from Singtel from the past, you can see prices consolidate quite a little bit, right? A couple of months, up, down, then before heading higher again, then breaking higher, up, down. So these are all good signs of a healthy uptrend. And I think a lot of people are worried that, hey, today, prices pull back a little bit. I say it's normal. It could be just the typical selling. I think Straits Times estimated more than 600,000 shareholders are each holding over 1,000 shares could be thinking of selling their shares, right? Their Singtel discounted shares. So I think for this right now, we are still holding above a key level. All right, that key $4.85 level is still holding up. All right, so here's the thing. I want to just very quickly turn on that trailing support and resistance line. Can you guys tell me where is the trailing support? All right, where is the trailing support based on my chart here? Hopefully it's big enough to be seen. Let me just zoom in. Where is the trailing support on the chart right now? Is it about $4.50, $4.80, $4.90? Can you guys spot it on the chart? Where is that trailing support? Come. Ray says $4.80. 480. That's exactly right. So for you guys who are holding or who have the 1GT Pro indicator, this is what you get. You get that trailing support. Yatri is seeing 481, correct? Henry 480, 480. Yeah, right. So 480 to 481, that is where that current trailing support is currently at. So like Joey said, the trailing support is a dynamic support level. All right, dynamic support level, as prices move, it moves along with it. If prices move sideways, the trailing support will move sideways as well. So as long as we are kept above that trailing support, definitely it is still not too bad. All right, there is space to breathe. It's still holding above it. That consolidation could continue as well. As you can see, that trailing support has been moving sideways since the end of March, but right now we have a little bit of weakness for sure, right? The last 3, 4, 5 days, 6 days, prices have just been coming down a little bit, right? Coming down from the high of maybe about 510 all the way down to right now at about that 488 level. All right, so this is what we call usually a buy zone, right? Maybe about 485 upwards to 490. That is where we tend to see buyers come in. All right, so yeah, it happened in the past as well. As prices approach this level, buyers actually came in to defend the level, right? That key level. So I think if you are looking to get into Singtel, I think this is a very, very key level that you want to actually watch out for. Some alerts could have been triggered already this morning. People are looking to maybe want to consider to get in, but let me just point out to you a couple of things so you can actually consider. Okay, we have currently that 20 days moving average pointing down. What does that mean? That means nearer term weakness is observed. I mean, you can see it from the share prices as well, came down from 510 to the current prices right now. Nearer term weakness definitely present, right? But the longer term trend, right? If we just zoom out a little bit, it still looks good. That red line over the blue line, both still pretty much pointing up, but you got that red line flattening out a little bit. All right, that's a sign of consolidation. So right now we are in a higher consolidation phase between that 485 upwards to that 520 level where we can also draw a sell zone. All right, does this mean that it's time to sell? There's weakness? No, not necessarily. Like you guys have mentioned, the trailing support is around 480, 481. Are we still holding above that trailing support? Yes. All right, so is that a good thing? Yes. Right now, it still remains that it's a good thing, just that it's more of a neutral position. We could see continuous sideways consolidation for a while, very similar to what had happened previously. With that immediate upside, I would say to about that 520 to maybe about that 530 level, that is where you can expect some selling to also return. Okay, so I think with shares like Singtel, we don't expect it to move higher and higher and higher and higher day after day, week after week. Right? Some healthy consolidation is what we actually are expecting, as long as we are holding above that trading support. Sure, okay, not too bad, right? But what happens if we are not able to hold above that trading support? Then there comes the point where you maybe want to protect some of your profits, right? You maybe already sitting on some profits, previously have bought already, sitting on some profits. Protect your profits, take some profits, reduce a little bit of the exposure, right, and then see how it plays out. But for right now, if you don't have a position for Singtel, perhaps let's see. I mean, today is a Friday already. Maybe let's just see next. Maybe today's close. Are we able to stay within that buy zone next week, Monday, Tuesday? Are we consolidating close to that buy zone again? And then you could see that 20 days moving average start to flatten out. Now it's pointing down, could be flattening out, and then that is where you could potentially position yourself for an entry. For those of you who already have shares, want to accumulate more, even better, stable trend for you to get in to accumulate more of those shares. All right, so I think if that 481 level is broken, consider to take some profits or stop your losses as well, because the next support, as I've drawn, would be around that 440 to maybe upwards of that 450 level that you want to actually take note of. Okay, so I think that is for Singtel. Hopefully for you guys, having some of these shares now currently already sitting in your CDP account, transferred from your Singtel discounted shares from your CPF. You want to accumulate more shares? Hey, now you can bundle all of those shares together as well. All right, so I'll pass the time back to Joey to actually cover the next stock for you guys. Joey?
All right, okay. Thank you so much, Bavin. Let's move on to the next one. I think we have quite a few asking about this stock called Bumitama Agri. All right. Hi, Jenny. Hi, good morning. I sold Bumitama Agri at $1.86. Let me just go to share my screen right now. All right, so this is Bumitama Agri. Code is P8Z, right? P8Z, trading at $1.92, right? So you sold at 186, okay? And thinking of re-entering. At what price can I re-enter? Thank you so much for giving us a bit of context. So you're looking to get in again. All right, let's see what could be a good entry level. Let me pull out a few more asking about Bumitama Agri. Sorry, so guys, just give us some time, because you see there's more than 40 over messages about so many stocks. So we try our best to cover as many as possible. Maybe some of those where a lot of you are asking about, right? That's where we do our best to cover lah, right? But apologies if we cannot cover all of them. It's just really like, wow, so many. I think we probably take 5 hours or 10 hours to complete. Okay, now let's see who is asking about Bumitama Agri. Pinky the Miffy, right? P82 or P8Z, right? Bought 136. Bumitama should sell, no movement. Let's find out. So should sell. One looking to re-enter. Let's see. Yeah, I think any more Bumitama. I think that will be for.
Yeah, I think it's taking quite some time for us to scroll through the chat to actually look through for the stocks. So
okay,
give us
never mind. So let's go ahead to take a look at Bumitama Agri. I would say right now, right? Okay, so very simple. This is Bumitama Agri, $1.92. This is, I would say, one of the pretty good, strong uptrending stock. In fact, it's been pushing higher since the beginning of the year. All right, Bumitama Agri is, it's more of a palm oil kind of play, so you can see with oil prices pushing higher. Palm oil is being seen as an alternative to crude oil, right? And that's where we have seen a bit of strength in March when the war actually started between the US and Iran, right? It escalated a little bit. Of course, we saw it pushing up, a bit of profit taking, and it's pushed even higher to around the $1.92. So I think technically, in terms of the one good trend strategy, of course, I already turned on the one good trend pro indicator, right? You off it, pump, nothing. Turn it on, boom, clarity, right? So you can see that since like last month in March, we got 2 1GT bullish signals kind of like appearing right over here. Not 1 but 2, right? The short-term trend, there was like a bit down, flat, and then started to point up. There we go, right? There we go. Long-term trend up, short-term trend up, 2 bullish signals. I think it still looks pretty bullish. There's no red bearish signal out. Correct? There's no red bearish signal out. So I think not too bad, right? So what could be a good potential entry level? Well, it seems like we're finding some support around the $1.80. Over the past 1 over week, it seems like every time we go to near 180, I think it's like 181, 182, then people start to buy and go up, right? On Wednesday as well, you go all the way down. The low was like 181 and then go up again, right? So now it's 192. I don't know whether you will go down to like 181, 182 for you to buy, but anything near that 181, 182, 184, 185, right over here, you can see that's where some bargain hunting has appeared over the past 1 week. So that's what we call a horizontal support level, all the way to quite clearly the psychological $2 resistance level. So I think the range quite clearly is 20 cents. From 180 to $2. Up, down like that. So I think $2 also take note. That's where we could see some selling. You can see we got a pretty bearish candlestick. Sellers came out and pushed it all the way down as we approach that near $2 level. So it could be not $2, even 195, 197, 198. You see some selling pressure has started to come back out already. So I think if you want to take some profit near $2, you could as well. All right, that's where we could see some selling pressure coming out. So 180 all the way to $2. Let's take a look at in terms of the trailing support to get another confirmation. You can see that this trailing support has popped up since March, right? Flat, up, flat, up, flat, up a little bit, up, right? It is following it as it moves up. You can see there's a bit of space, right? There's a bit of space between the price and the trailing support, right? So the trailing support, obviously, it is lower than the horizontal support at 180, right? Why? Because as I said, the trailing support gives the stock the space to breathe, all right? And this stock is quite volatile. You can see up, then down, then up, then it's very volatile. So if you're more volatile, you have more volatility, we give you more space, all right? As long as you stay above the trailing support, it is still okay. Green line, obviously, still pointing up for now, right? So quite okay as well. So I think I don't know whether you will dip to near 170 or 160, which is where the trailing support is. But right now, 180 seems to be a bit of a higher horizontal support popping out. So anything near 180 or above it, it still looks okay. In fact, if we break the $2 out, we could even see a new 1GT bullish signal popping out. All right, Ken. So there's a quick one on Bumitama Agri. Let me pass on the mic to Bervin to cover the next stock. Bervin.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so I saw another few of you guys asking about this stock as well. Wilmar, all right, Wilmar International. It's been a while since we actually look at Wilmar, right? Let's take a look at Wilmar together today. I think cannot find the other comment, but I recall I think it was Kunaf that was asking about Wilmar as well. All right, so just let me very quickly pull up the chart right here. All right, so right here we have Wilmar International. I think now I saw Kunaf say he bought something like a $3, right? Kunaf, you still here? Let me know in the chat what price did you actually buy Wilmar at? couldn't look for your comment just now. All right, but CJ bought Wilmar at 3.93 to hold or sell. Also bought the DLC long. In a loss now, sell or hold? Wow, that's a great question, especially if today we are, this live stream or this live show is sponsored by SocGen, right? So the DLC long and Wilmar itself. Okay, so the DLC, the daily leverage certificate, gives you the additional leverage or additional potential, I would say, to get the upside or to enjoy more of the upside with leverage. All right, so what does it mean? Okay, so DLCs are generally shorter term trading instruments, right? They offer leverage, hence it's always important to read up, why? Because they have this thing, what we call a compounding effect. So that means the share price move up 1%, a 5 times DLC could have more than 5 times the performance. All right, so I think this is how people that have a shorter term positive view or a negative view, you can use a short DLC. Positive view, you use a long DLC, can take advantage of the stock price movement. Right, take advantage of the stock price movement. If you want to find out a little bit more, I think Joey very kindly helped to place that banner up already for us to learn more about DLCs on the DLC SocGen website. All right, but no matter what, if you're looking at the DLC, even if you're looking at say for example, even in the US side options, we always come back to look at the underlying. All right, because the underlying is more important, or that is what the DLC actually tracks. All right, so for CJ, the current price of Wilmar this morning, right around $3.84, trading up and down, 385, 386, just came down to 384. Where is the support? All right, where is the support? The support currently still holds at about that $3.65 level. Could we see right here that this was where prices had consolidated? All right, broke above, came back down, tested this level, took off from here again. All right, each time it manages to push a little bit higher. Right, this time it approached the sell zone 390. Just 3 days ago, it tested 2 and 3 days ago, it tested that $4 psychological level. Pretty much not able to break above it, right? Agree. Prices actually came down, sellers actually came in. Very normal stuff when we are in the sell zone, because people are looking to take profits, right? Like Kunaf himself, he bought it at $3. He could be thinking about taking profits already. All right, could be thinking about taking profits already. All right, so this is currently where Wilmar is standing at, just under that sell zone. If you're thinking of getting in, I think do not rush in. Although we actually see quite a few good signs, of a positive uptrend, positive nearer term momentum above, around that 20-day moving average is still pointing up. Prices above that moving average as well. We have the 100 days, 200 days moving average also pointing up. 1GT bullish signals actually still present since the latest one, January 2026. So potentially if we see a firm break, a good firm break, confirm up move, a bullish candlestick above that $4 level, there could be a third 1GT bullish signal coming in. All right, so for CJ, is sitting on a little bit of losses bought at 3.93. Usually we do not really want to try to position ourselves to get in within the sell zone. Rather, we want to position ourselves to get in within a buy zone instead. So 365, maybe upwards to about 370, 375. So that will be a pretty good buy zone to actually get in. But no worries, already got in. So what do we do now? All right, so if you are able to follow along with me, if you are able to turn on that trailing support and resistance line, you can see that at 365 has an added layer of security now. That trailing support is right around, it's intersecting that $3.65 level, around that level. Right, so this is a very key level that you may want to actually watch out for as well. If you are currently you do not have a stop loss plan, maybe just a couple of bits below that trailing support, in this case also that horizontal support, 361, 360, maybe 359, 358. Yeah, maybe that is where you want to actually set up a stop limit order. Right, because you never know, right? Right now the trend still looks good, but however, if we see more weakness coming, do not see buyers coming in to defend that 365 level like 2 weeks back, then perhaps maybe it will be broken. So you don't want to have a position that you get stuck in, right? Also, yes, although longer term trend looks good, doesn't mean nearer term cannot sell down. Okay, so you want to be a little bit more careful there. And what happens next if that $4 level is broken? Right, Kunaf, this one is for you. If we actually do a little bit of a projection upwards, 365, $4, bring it a little bit up, we could see that upside maybe upwards to $3.35, maybe even $4.35, or maybe even $4.40. So likewise, Kunaf, you bought at $3. If you want to secure some of your profits, right? You don't want to have a 1GT bearish signal, prices go back down, then all that time is actually wasted. Set up a stop limit order just below 363 as well. All right, just 365 as well, just to position yourself outwards, just to get out with profits, still at 60 cents profits, very good amount of profit, right? So CJ, you have currently a DLC position. Do take note for DLCs, you technically do not want to hold it for too long. It's a very short-term trading instrument. All right, so you're sitting on some losses there. You may want to consider to stop your losses on that side as well. All right, but if you see a further up move, potentially we could see more profits coming in for yourself due to that compounding effect. All right, so that is for Wilmar, and a little bit of a DLC as well. Pass the time back to Joey to cover the next stock for you guys.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Bobby. Let's move on to the next one. All right. And that would be Ray by Ray, right? ST Engineering. ST Engineering. Let's take a look at it. Okay. So this is ST Engineering at about $11.43. Okay. Okay. You bought ST Engineering at $2.30. Thinking of adding more. Wow. Awesome. You bought at $2.30. Now is it the right stock? I mean, $11.44. So definitely you're sitting on some pretty decent profits, I would say, right? I mean, ST Engineering, to be honest, since like last year, we have been sending out notes to our clients in Philip Securities. You can see for last year, January last year, right, that's 2025. We got a bullish signal. We got another one, all the way up. Of course, somewhere in August, we saw bearish signals. They start coming down for like 1 month, and then another bearish signal came down, went sideways. But it really started to wake up again, I would say, since like end of the year, 2025, right? Somewhere around like end of the year, it was consolidating. And as the new year began, right, on the 5th of January, same thing, we got a note sent out to our clients in Philip Securities. If you have loaded back in, added more, then even better, you can see we have started to see it push even higher from January, February, March, now to April. And we are still looking pretty strong, right? So one of the top performing stocks, very strong uptrend in the long term, and also in the short term, it was like down, sideways, but turned up since January, right? And even in March, right, when the US-Iran war started, you can see that it is still holding quite well, right? It's still holding quite well. Right? It did not really push down, break supports, or like a red bearish signal appearing. No, right? It was holding quite well. The green line, in fact, didn't even point down. The green line, 20 days moving average, that represents the short-term trend, still continue to point up. Right? In fact, right now, I would say the green line, it is still pointing up. Right? So the short-term trend, it is still up. So one thing I like is that, very good that you're actually thinking about adding more. So most people, let's say you have got in at $2.30. I'm not too sure whether it's a typo, but if you've got in at $2.30 or maybe lower price, $5, $6, $7, right? And the price now is $11 plus. Right? You know what? Most people would not want to buy. Right? Why? Because it looks a bit silly. Like you got in now, you got to buy a bit higher, right? This doesn't make sense, right? It feels a bit uncomfortable. Like, most people wouldn't have they just cannot buy it. Don't dare to buy, right? Because it's higher, right? But the fact is that we in terms of this one good trend strategy, one of the core belief is that we're buying into strength. We're buying the stocks that are in an uptrend. It could be a bit more expensive. It could be higher than the price we bought last year or last year or whatever. It doesn't matter. But we still think about buying. Why? We still think about adding positions to that winning trade, right? To that winning position. Right? Rather than just getting out and then see it go all the way up and don't do anything, right? No, we don't do that, right? We add into winning positions, we buy even more, all right? Of course, not anyhow buy that with a plan, all right? But that's a good mindset to have, to think about even buying more on that winning trade, right? Rather than selling and then doing nothing and then seeing going even higher, all right? So that's a good thing I want to say in terms of the mindset. So good that you're thinking to add even more, all right? If you have got in, as I say, right, you have got in January when we got a 1 GT bullish signal, that would be great. I can see it started to push up, right? I mean, we don't take a look at last year. Last year, of course, was very strong already, but just even in January, when we got the first 1 GT bullish signal, all the way to now, 33%, right? 33% in like 3 months. Pretty good, right? Pretty good, right? And I think right now, there could still be more upside. So back to your question, right? Let's say you're thinking about adding more. Of course, in January, it'll be better, but it really went up, right? I don't know whether you'll go back down, but I would say right now, over the past, like 1 over month, what support have came out at around the $10.50. This was one of the stocks that we actually shared with our clients in Philip Securities, all right, whereby, it was holding quite well above 10.50, and then of course now it's gone up even higher to about 11.50 resistance, right? But at least I would say that, we are tending to push higher, right? We're tending to push higher. Support has gone even higher. And over the past week, well, it seems like we've broken above that $11.30 resistance level. So 11.30 was like from March all the way to early April, right? We came down, touched, come down, and finally went above 11.30. So not too bad, not too bad. I think for me, I would say anything above 11.30 or maybe above that $11. So that's a higher support level. I think 10.50 might be a bit too low already. 10.50 a bit too low already. Okay, so now it's I think 11 to 11.30. I think that's where some bargain hunting could return, right? A potential entry could be near there. I could turn on the trailing support to see what it says, right? You can see this trailing support popped up since January when we got the first 1 GT bullish signal, all right? You've been following it up, flat, up, flat. In fact, you can see when the wall kind of like started, right? We traded all the way lower near the trailing support and push up even higher. So all this while we're still above the trailing support, even though the market was weaker, it was still holding well above the trailing support. Is it still above now? Yeah, it's still above. I can see this trailing support is above, somewhere around the $10.50. So anything above $11, all right, or above 10.50, we have given it the space to still look, to be still strong, all right? That's where we could see even more upside, all right? So I think potential entry could be anywhere near 11.30 if it does dip, all right? 10.50 might be a bit too low. I'm not too sure whether it will dip there, even though that could be really, really attractive. All right, so very good that you're thinking about adding more for ST Engineering, right? So now let's talk a little bit about DLCs, right? Since this show is sponsored by SocGen DLC, so let's share a little bit about DLC, daily leverage certificate. So if you were to get in, let's say if you were to get in right over here, all right, in January, all right, whereby the price then was at about $8 and I would say 60 cents, right? All the way up to now here in terms of the underlying stock, right? It's about a 33% upside, right? If you to buy the underlying stock, right? Nothing complicated, like just buy the normal stock, you then hold all the way to now, you make a 33% gain, all right? That is if you buy the underlying stock using the normal trading account, the cash trading account, all right? However, if you to use what we call DLCs, let me just go to show you how you can actually use DLC. So you can see right over here, well, the link is right in the chat. You can just go to click on the link to search for DLC. So not all stocks you can use DLC, but Wilmar, and even for ST Engineering. So this is the SocGen website. The link is in the chat. Go to click on it. You can see that you can go to products, search, click on it, search. And you can see all the underlying that allows DLC, right? So even for US stock, Alphabet, Amazon, Meta also have, okay? Hong Kong stocks also have, but let's take a look at ST Engineering right over here. If I'm not wrong, definitely they have a DLC for it. Right over here, ST Engineering, right? So let's click on it. There we go. You can see that there's some DLCs for long and for short for ST Engineering. So let's say you're looking to buy, to long, right? And then you go for the long one, right over here. You can see, 5x long DLC. Go for the one that's the star one. That's where it's more sensitive. So right over here, you can click on it. So the code is like UQKW. So click on it. And this is the DLC. UQKW is pretty much a code when you place an order on your trading account. You can search for this code. You'll be able to find this DLC. And you can see that I would say this is the kind of like the returns, right? So you can see the red one would be the what we call the returns, all right, in terms of the underlying stock. Right, let me just show you right over here. Okay. Or maybe something like that. Okay, let's look at like over the past 1 month, something like that, right? Or maybe you can shift it a little bit higher. Something like that, right? So maybe over the past 1 month, you can see that. So the red one will be what we call the underlying stock, right? So what happens there? This is a 5x. Okay, let me just go back and confirm. Let me just confirm this is DLC long, 5x long DLC. All right. So you can see that since like, okay, UQKW, right? So 6 months, right? You can see that the upside, right, in terms of the DLC is like 128%. 128%. All right. But if you look at the past 6 months, if you look at ST Engineering for the past 6 months, so 6 months would be, let's see, let me just go to remove this. So maybe in October all the way to now, right? From here, maybe all the way to here. The returns is about like 40%, right? 40% in terms of the underlying stock, right? But this is what we call a 5x DLC, 5 times. So you will get 5x the performance. You get to magnify your returns by 5 times. So if the underlying were to go up by 10%, 10 times 5 is 50%. You could potentially make a 5 times return just by buying the DLC. So in this case, you can see it's like 128%. All right, maybe this is like maybe 6 months performance. You can see 1 week 19%, 1 month 29% as well. So this is how you can use DLC kind of like to get a higher return. So search for the DLC, go search for the DLC. All right, and you'll be able to search for the codes as well right over here, and think about how you can actually buy this DLC to kind of like magnify your returns as well. So check it out. The links right in chat in terms of the product. Search, go to search, find if there's any DLC for the underlying stock, and you can find out a bit more, right? So any questions and stuff, I can go to call the DLC hotline right over here. If any questions, there's some trainings that they provide as well, right, in terms of the videos, educational content as well, under the educational tab. Okay, Ken, so that's for DLC. Just want to share a little bit about DLC since this is sponsored by SocGen. All right, so that's how you could potentially take a position on ST Engineering. Not too bad. Bullish signal still in play since January 11.43. It still looks good above that $11 support level. Ken, all right, so let me pass on the mic to Bervin to cover the next Singapore stock. Bervin?
All right, thanks, Joey. Quite interesting stuff. DLC, let me just see. It's not seeing one person was asking about Sembcorp. Who was it that was asking about Sembcorp? Sorry, there's too many comments already in the chat. Just let me take a look. It's okay, never mind. I will just cover another stock first until I can find that Sembcorp. Here we go. NGCS bought SCI Sembcorp Industries U96 after 1GT call at 622. What is the immediate target for the stock? All right, so let me just switch it up here. All right, on my screen right now, we have Sembcorp Industry. The stock code is U96. All right, so NG bought it at about 6.22. Let me just point it. Well, you bought it right where I put my alert exactly. Okay, very good. Here we go. Just the little line there will be your entry price. All right, so that little line there is your entry price. Currently, right now, prices are trading. Is it? Oh no, for 15 minutes before the market lunch break. Right now, it's trading very, very, very close to that $7 level already. NG. So just would like to just give you a little bit of a caution. All right, just give a little bit of caution. We are approaching what we call the sell zone. So I mean, don't be too worried or don't be too stressed up if you start to see a little bit of a profit taking come in. I think very, very, very normal. We kind of want to see profit taking come in as well because, like yourself, I think many people have tried to get into position when the prices previously showed some strength. So if we look just in the past 1 year, you can see that Sembcorp themselves a little bit of fallen from grace, right? Gap down due to earnings, did not manage to recover much over the last 6 to 8 months or so. It has just been trading pretty much sideways in a lower consolidation form. All right, so I think most recently starting to show strength again. All right, since that second 1GT bullish signal came in to give us that additional confirmation that there could be nearer term strength coming potentially. Why is that an added layer of confirmation? We see the 100 days, 200 days moving average. Right? Typically, we want to see the red line above the blue line, correct? But in this case, the red line is still below the blue line. So that confirmation of a reversal into an uptrend, not confirmed just yet. We just have nearer term momentum. All right, so of course, if you pick up any trades like that, the risk is a little bit higher that it may not perform in your favor, right? So what other forms of confirmation you want to look at? 20 days moving average looking good, crossing above that 100 days and that 200 days moving average, right? One here, cross here, broke above several key resistance, right? It's been kept below this 660 level for how long? Since August of last year. Currently, we are approaching the $7 level. The immediate target, NG, I would say, right around that $7 level. We are really actually approaching it. Right, so we did a little bit of a projection as well. A little bit of projection from 660 upwards to $7. Right now, I would say if $7 is breached, we could be heading back to the 740, potentially 750 level. Right, this was where prices found a little bit of a support back then in August before that level actually had broken down. So that is the higher target that you can actually set for yourself. So I think for you right now, a couple of things that you could do, can consider to do as well. Set up some alerts above that $7 level. Right click, just add alert, crossing. Don't just put $7, maybe put 702, 703, couple of alerts just to get yourself alerted when prices have breached or found a new higher support. Potentially can find a new higher support. And the second alert, all right, close to that 750 level, maybe 745, 748. Maybe that's when you want to come in, take some profits as well. I think completely okay, nothing wrong to do that as well, right? Lastly, I think maybe you want to have a stop limit order, right? A stop limit order. Right now, that trailing support right around 640. Right around the 640 level. If prices continue to hit higher, this trailing support could continue to hit higher as well. But of course, we should also expect normal consolidation, not prices just hitting higher every day. Of course, that is will be a pleasant surprise. But if prices head up in that manner, you will start to see that trailing support will give the stock more room to breathe. But if it moves a little bit sideways, potentially may see the potential move, something like that. I think that is a sign of a good, healthy uptrend. Use that trailing support, in this case, to set a stop limit order. Just under it, all right? Just maybe 3 to 5 bits below that trailing support will be good enough. You'll still be getting out with profits. And then last but not least, I think maybe also look out for if that 100 days moving average can start to point up a little bit more steeply, cross above that 200 days moving average. I think that would be a good sign for you to actually, potentially, if you want to even position yourself to get in more, to increase your exposure past the $7 level. Now, buying a little bit more expensive, like Joey has said, buying a little bit more expensive, then that would be fine as well. Right? That would be fine as well, because by then the longer term uptrend should be intact, or we can see that reversal play out as well. All right, so I think that's a very quick one for Sembcorp Industries. Hopefully that helps. NG, pass the time back to Joey to actually cover the next stock for you guys. Joey?
All right, okay, thank you so much. Let's move on very quickly to the next one, and that would be AEM. I think some of you were asking about AEM. Let me just put the comments. Keep the faith, right? AEM, good to enter or wait to break the 468. Now it's 472, right? It seems like we are attempting to push even higher, right? So that's keep the faith, looking to think about getting in on AEM. Let's see if it's the right time, if there could be more upside, right? Let's take a look at another more AEM comments. I think quite a few of you asking, all right, RLTKW, AEM, hold, all right? So I believe you are already holding on to it. Some positions, not too sure how many, but you're looking to see if you can go even higher to write maybe even more upside. Let's take a look. Yeah, quite a lot of AEM. I can't really find all of them, but never mind. Let's go take a look at AEM right now. As you can see, AEM, well, it's been one of the very bullish stocks since like the beginning of the year, right? In fact, December, we got a 1GT bullish signal. The second one came out in January, went sideways for a while, and I think it really woke up when we broke above that $2 to like $2.10 key resistance level. Why? Because you see, we were here last year, October, we came down. We neared it in January, we came down, all right? Around February, we neared it, and we also come down. But once we break that $2.10, right, resistance level, what happens? All the way up, right? So you can see that we already had bullish signals coming in before that, all right? But when it broke the resistance, that is where you can see quite clearly the short-term trend that was like sideways a little bit started to point up very, very firmly as well, right? All the way up. So in terms of the bullish signals from January to now, wow, so much. 160%, right? 160% in 2 months, all right? 2 months plus, all right? Who says Singapore stock very boring? 160% in 2 months, and still counting, right? So even, like last month when we saw the US and Iran war, well, it was actually holding quite well. In fact, everybody was going down. It was actually going up, attempting to push higher. As I say, that's why we are seeing a bit of strength in the Singapore technology stock, not just on AEM, maybe on like Frencken and some other tech stocks. It's been doing really well. So long-term trend is up. The green 20 days moving average line, it is still pointing up. And what I like right now is that it seems like as I'm talking, right, we are attempting to break the resistance level, right? Maybe around that 465. So 465 was where we were about 2 weeks back, all right? We touched there, market sold off, it retraced a little bit, consolidated above that 410 for a while. And now, right, it seems like we are attempting to push even higher above that 465. In fact, now going to above 470. Now it's what? Well, now it's 475. This is live, guys. Haven't launched yet, right? Yeah, now it's live. So it's like $4.75. So not too bad. It seems like we're attempting to push even higher above that 2 weeks recent high. So there could potentially be even more upside. So what I can do right now is to turn on what I call the trailing support level and see if there's any other confirmation. You can see since like January, February, when we got the 1GT bullish signal, a trailing support has popped out, all right? This trailing support, as I mentioned, it follows a stock. It gives it the room to breathe, all right? You go up, I follow you up more, but don't follow too closely. You give it the allowance to hopefully move up even more. If you're above the trailing support, not too bad. Cool, relax, chill, continue. Riding 160%. Right? And also you say, but Joey, 160% a lot already, like you sure or not? But when it was 70%, people also say a lot, right? Then become 90. 90 become 100%. 100, you say a lot. Become 120%. Now become 160%. All right, I don't know whether next month will be 200%, but does it make sense? All right, so there's no such thing. 160 means a lot, 50 means a lot, right? Doesn't matter, right? As long as there's no other confirmations that say that it is bearish, or like the green line going to point down, or then the red color bearish signal come out. Okay, fine, that one then not so good, but now still okay, right? I mean, there's no bearish signal. I think the short-term trend is still pointing up. All right, trailing support, in fact, like still following it. And today seems like we are even attempting to break above that $4.65. All right, 470 resistance as I'm talking. All right, it seems like targets could be raised all the way to maybe even that $5 to $5.50 level. All right, so energized mode, AEM, my biggest play. All right, good. I'm not too sure where you got in, but if you've got in, right over here when we got the bullish signals, I think that's where I think you're sitting on pretty decent profits, seeing a pretty decent profits, right? So let's see about the question, right? Where is it for AEM? Let me try to find again, right? I think some of you were asking me to take some profit or sell, right? Where is AEM? Okay, keep the faith, right? Good to enter or wait to break 468. Well, I would say that by right? Of course, we have sent out a note. So this is one of the counters whereby we have sent out a note to our clients in Philips Securities a couple of weeks back. All right, I think it was somewhere around here. Started to push up a little bit. And of course, if you got in there, it will be much cheaper. But now doesn't mean it cannot go up higher. I think it's still okay. By right, a support would have came out around $4.10. So that's where you could have entered above 410. last week when it was like consolidating a little bit above that support. You can see short-term trend was still up there now, so still okay, right? Now I would say, yeah, seems like we're attempting to break the 465 to 470, right? If that holds, right, a more aggressive entry could be anything, right, above that 460 to 465 as well, even right over here. But we want to get more confirmation to see if we can really break and close above that 465 to 470. If we can, right, I think next week will be even more bullish. So that would be what we call a more aggressive entry if we were to break a resistance and then you enter, right? But I mean, it's a bit more expensive, but doesn't mean you cannot go up. Still can, but usually, no, we would like to enter what we call near a horizontal support, like right over here, or maybe if it does dip to near the trailing support, that could be a good entry as well. All right, so I hope that helps. All right, and let me know, guys. I mean, how many of you are clients of mine in Philip Securities and you actually receive a note on AEM a couple of weeks back, right? Type a C for client, guys. If you are a client of mine in Philip Securities, you are receiving our daily updates and ideas by WhatsApp. Type a C for client. Let me know, right? I'm just acknowledge and thank all of you for your support. C for client if you have a trading account under me in Philip Securities, where I'm a broker for more than like 13 years already, right? Let me know. C for client. All right, Jared, Klein, Andy, definitely. Klein, thank you so much for support. Hope GC as well. So we have a lot of clients joining us as well. I know some of you may not be a client of mine in Philip Securities. You're just going through YouTube and Facebook, all right, just trying to find some stock ideas, right? But if you're not yet a client of mine in Philip Securities, right, and you want to get some of those ideas, Singapore ideas, all right, AEM, Siong, ST Engineering, I mean, these are some of the stocks we covered, right? And a few others, find out how you can become a client of mine in Philip Securities for free. Yeah, for free. Right? I mean, open trading account is free, right? So yeah, it's free. So you can open a free trading account under me in Philip Securities. You do not pay anything more, all right? And that's where you get some of our top ideas, Singapore ideas, daily updates for free by WhatsApp, right? At no additional cost, right? Especially as I say, if you have a trading account in Singapore, but you don't don't get any service from your own broker kind, nobody send you any video, no ideas, no training, nothing. Nobody call you, nobody WhatsApp you, nothing. You got to call a hotline account thing, right? Click on the link in the chat, join us, all right? That's where you get some of our top ideas daily for free, some of our private training videos as well to all our clients here. I think you have probably got them on a daily basis, right? Thank you so much, Stephen, Yvonne, Andy, Klein, Cheesing as well. Awesome. So link is right in the chat. We look forward to work with you together closer with my team, right, and share with you guys some of these top ideas. In fact, today I think I shared another one, right? Not too bad. Clients, you can check your WhatsApp, right, to put that stock in your watch list. Okay, so this AEM holdings, not too bad. It seems like we're tending to push even higher. Targets, right? Once we get the confirmation, it'll be on the close today. Targets could be raised to $5, maybe even to $5.50, right? After 160% gain, yeah, there could still be more upside. Now, let me pass on the mic to Bervin to cover the next Singapore stock. Bervin, go ahead, yours.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so let me just change this up right here. Andy, hi. All right, okay, first resources bought at 2.92. Please advise to hold or to cut loss. Thank you. All right, Andy, firstly, I would like to thank you so much. You've been here every Friday almost every Friday supporting us, supporting Joey. All right, so this is first resources. So you just bought, I think it could be just, or it could be the last few weeks. Let me just adjust my chart. Last few weeks at 2.92. Right, 2.92. It could be here late March, or it could be early April. It could be last few days. All right, prices have came down from that $3 level. All right, we actually saw prices trying to break above. There was one day that it had actually broke above that psychological $3 level. But however, next day we actually saw sellers actually come in. But here's a little bit of relief. We actually see that close to this temporary support level, about 280, all right, the immediate support level, we actually see quite a bullish candlesticks, right? A couple of bullish candlesticks as well. Even last 2 days, we actually see a bullish candlesticks right there, but not much buyers have actually pushed prices up. But instead, we actually see buyers defending that 285 level. Now, sellers haven't truly taken control, although we see a little bit of weakness. What does the trends look like? We got that 20 days, still looking good, right? Still pointing up. 100 days, 200 days, still pointing up. Simple, all right? But if we just want to be a little bit more careful, right? Is it to hold or to cut loss? Right? So I think right now you're thinking, hey, what happens if we see further weakness? Right now the trading support is a little bit further away. Right? Trading support is very close to that 260 level. You may not want to stop losses there below that level, because from 292 all the way down to below that 260 level, that's close to a 12% stop loss. Right? So one other way that you can actually think about it is if prices see further weakness below 285, maybe you would like to consider an exit first and then potentially a re-entry if you are able to see prices head back towards that trailing support level above that 260 level. All right, because of course we do not want to try to buy close to a psychological resistance 292, relatively close to that, but no problem. There are actually also quite good signs right now that potentially this is just a retracement and we could see prices head up higher. Why? It's because we are actually seeing higher lows, right? Right here, right here, right here could be a sign that it's just a temporary weakness and prices could subsequently head back towards that $3 level to test it again. All right, so I think Andy, a couple of alerts for you to set up. If below 385, maybe 382, 383, you want to 285, 283 and maybe 282, you want to have some alerts right there as well. If you get alerted towards that, maybe you want to come in to see if you see any bearish candlesticks, anything showing that sellers have taken over control. On the flip side, you may want to set up some alerts above $3, maybe 305, 306, 307, just to be alerted that we have finally broken and are we able to hold firmly above that $3 level. So let me do a little bit of a projection for you. I think the range could be quite small at this point. We can do a little bit of a projection. The upside towards that 320 could open up if the $3 psychological level gives way. All right, Andy, hopefully that helps for first resources. I'll pass the time back to Joey to cover the next stock for you guys.
All right, thank you so much. Let's move on to the next one. So first resources, not too bad. All right, seems like a little bit of a profit taking, but we're still holding kind of like above the trailing support level. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. I think we have Genevalio. All right, is it a good time to accumulate on this Singapore brands? I would say maybe you're talking about the Singapore bank stocks, right? So let me go ahead to share my screen and maybe let's take a look at OCBC. OCBC right over here. So I would say that I did a video on the Singapore banks a couple of days back. It was published on my YouTube channel. So guys, if you have not yet followed me on YouTube, go ahead to hit the subscribe button. Check out the Singapore banks video that I published a couple of days back that I talk about the OCBC, DBS, and even UOB, right? But I think today, maybe we will just focus a little bit on OCBC because right now, I think that is the strongest bank among all the three banks. It used to be DBS, right? But DBS has retraced back down. We still need a bit more confirmation. But for OCBC, we are attempting to push higher over the past week. It still seems to be holding really well, right? So this is OCBC. You can see the long-term trend, the red and the blue line, both pointing up, red above the blue. So 100 days moving average above the 200 days moving average. That is a bullish in terms of the long-term trend. Well, let's take a look at what we call the short-term trend. And we look at what we call the green line. So the green line, you can see, it is not always up. It can be down as well, right? You can see flat means the short-term trend is sideways. It is consolidating. It was quite boring, to be honest, from like August, September, October last year. Very boring. But somewhere in November, the green line started to point up all the way. Of course, in February, March with the war, it started to point down. But now, it started to point back up again, right? So now I would say that all the indicators are aligned. The long-term trend is up and the short-term trend is up as well. So what we can do right now is to turn on the 1GT Pro indicator. As I say, that's what we're doing now, right? Any kind of like any stocks, even the markets, you turn it on, you get an opinion in seconds, right? Based on the signals, right? On top of the trend indicators. So let's turn it on, pump. There we go. So you can see for OCBC, all right, since like October, November, we got 1GT bullish signal, all the way up until like March. Of course, the market came down due to the US-Iran war. We got a 1GT bearish signal, right? So from here all the way to the bearish signal, I would say a 25% lah, or 25% upside, all right? Then we went down a little bit. The green line, the green 20 days moving average line also went down, right? But over the past 1 over week, guys, you can see that we have got a new 1 GT bullish signal, right? So I think that OCBC is looking more bullish already. We have broken what I call the 2180 or maybe even that $22 psychological resistance level that would now be what we call a near-term horizontal support level. So let me just change this red line to green, right? Let's just put maybe somewhere around that $22. So 2180 to 22, right? You can see that is where it was a resistance turn support level. And over the past, I would say, 1 over week, right? It seems like some bargain hunting is slowly starting to come back as we approach this level. I think today also starting to push up a little bit, rebounding off this zone. This is what we call a buy zone. Anything near $20, and here's where a buy zone. That's where buyers could start to come back on dips to bargain hunt a little bit, right? You can see the green line pointing up, bullish signal in play, all the way to this resistance quite clearly, $23. $23. I think for OCBC, if you're looking to accumulate on dips, right? Well, I think it's pretty good, right? And I'm not too sure whether you dip that much, right? To 21. I mean, of course, previously it was quite, it was like consolidating above 21. But I think right now, near 22, people are starting to come in already, right? So definitely one of the stocks you put in your watch list in terms of potentially more upside, in terms of the uptrend continuing even further, right? So now it's 22 all the way to 23. If 23 were to give way, well, that's where targets could be revised, right? All the way to 24, maybe even to $25 as well. So I think OCBC will be probably one of the strongest Singapore bank stocks for now, because for DBS and DBS and UOB, we are kind of like capped below that resistance. I think DBS is that 50, if I'm not wrong, let's take a look at DBS, right? DBS would be like $58. Yeah, I think DBS is like, we still kept below that $57.50 to $58, right? If we can break that, good, but there are definitely some signs of a reversal already, right? Some signs of reversal for DBS, right? I think resistance could be all the way. So this DBS group holdings, right? All the way to maybe that $59. A bit of resistance we've seen, $59.60. Then this where selling could come back for DBS. Okay. Now let's take a look at maybe like go back to OCBC again, and let's take a look at DLC, right? As to how you could potentially have taken a position using DLCs on OCBC and magnify your returns, right? So let's go back to the website. So this is the the website. But we can place the link in the chat, right? SocGen DLC website. Go to products, search, all right? So the banks, DBS, OCBC, and UOB, definitely there'll be what we call DLCs on them. So you can just search for OCBC. Let's take a look. Where is it? Right over here, right? OCBC, click on it, and there we go, right? So there's a long DLC and there's a short DLC. So if you're thinking that the stock will go up, you want to buy one, and then you go for the long DLC. If you think that stock will go down, all right, you want to make money when it's going down, and then you get the short DLC. So you can see these are 5x, 5 times leverage factor. What does 5 times mean? It means that if the underlying, to keep it simple, if the underlying stock, OCBC, were to go up by 5%, right, the normal underlying stock go up by 5%, the DLC will go up by 5 times 5, which is like 25%. Does it make sense? That's very simple. So it magnifies the returns of the underlying stock. You go up by 10%, then 10 times 5 is 50%. Right? So that's a 5x leverage factor. So that's how you can get more returns on this DLC. So let me just click on this one, right? The long 5x DLC right over here. The code is TUAW. So go to any trading account, you can type the code, you'll be able to find this DLC. And let's take a look at maybe over the past 6 months. You can see, so when I put my mouse over here, all right, and maybe up to here, right? So you can see that there's a box. There's a box on beside my mouse on the left, right? You can see right over here. So the red one is the DLC. You can see the box. The red one is DLC, right? Plus 208.45%. Okay. The black one in the box you can see is the underlying stock, plus 31%. Right? Plus 31%. Right? So some of you might ask, hey, Joey, the buy should be 5 times, right? So let's say 31%, 31 times 5 should be 150%. How come like more than 5? Right? How come it's like 208%, right? wow, because that's where, due to the compounding effect, you could get even more than 5x or more than 5 times the performance if the stock is trending very nicely up. Because every day it compounds and compounds, all right, based on the closing price on the previous day, all right? So that's where you get even more than 5x return, all right? So it's not like, so by 31 times 5 is 150, but now you get 208% for OCBC, right? Because of this compounding effect. So that's how, you could really, if you pick the right direction, you write the right trend, the correct bullish signals bring you all the way up, you could really magnify your returns, all right? And see even the higher ROI on certain stocks, right? By 5x. Okay, so this is how you can check out on DLC. The link is right in the chat. Click on it. Product search if your stock has DLC, and you could potentially think about taking a trade using DLC, daily leverage certificate. All right, so just want to share that. As I mentioned, this show is sponsored by SocGen, so just want to share it a few times. So this is OCBC. As I said, not too bad. Underlying is right over here. Anything above 22, I think the uptrend remains intact. All right, now let me pass on the mic to Bobby to cover the next Singapore stock. Bobby, yours.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so next one, let's see. Hi, Hikyang. Bought Pan United at 1.43. Take profit or hold. All right, so firstly, I mean, congratulations. I think today, the last few days, in fact, Pan United had actually been testing that key resistance level, right? 170. I think Joey have also sent out a note to the clients as well that we could potentially see further upside if that 170 level is broken. All right, so I think right now we do a little bit of projection, 150 upwards to about 170. All right, then further up, 190 would be the next level, maybe even upwards to $2. This could be a potential level for us to actually watch out for. But I think as of now, I think market have gone on a break already. We are still testing that 170 level. So if you are thinking of taking some profits, right? Some, the keyword here is some, Hikyang, not all. I think that's fine. That's completely fine as well. Previously, we have tested this level right here, right? Couple of weeks back on the 30th of March, tested the level, come back down to that 150 buy zone, 150 to maybe a 155 buy zone, and then prices headed up higher again. Is it going to break that 170? I think nobody can tell you for sure, right? But at least the trend looks good. We have two 1GT bullish signals. The moving averages still looks very, very good. All right, trading support still heading up, giving the stock room to breathe, right? We are currently within a buy zone within a sell zone as well. So I think that is something for you to consider. All right, we have tested this a level or consolidated below this level for the past week. The last 5 days just been hovering around that 170 level. Not too sure if we are able to break above it. So we want to set up some alerts. I have some alerts being set up above that 170 level already, 173, 174. I think that's a good level to set up for Pan United. I think we don't have to worry too much. As long as that 150 level continues to hold, you may see a little bit of a consolidation that could happen similarly like what had happened in the past as well, right? That as long as that level continues to hold, the horizontal support continues to hold, trading support not broken, I think we can even continue to consider to ride that upside to the next target at around that 190 level. All right, so I think Pan United, I think if you guys are not a client of Joey and want to receive maybe any further updates on it, if we break above that 170 level, I'll place the link in the chat to actually find out a little bit more on how to be Joey's client under Philip Securities. All right, so that's a very, very quick one for Pan United. Passing the time back to Joey to cover the next stock for you guys. Joey?
All right, thank you so much. Let's move on to the next stock, right? Okay, let's see, right? So guys, you can see there's more than 60 overstocks, right, that we have right now. Let me just go ahead to share my screen and pick the next stock. And I would say that would be, just give me a second, right? I think. Okay, let's take a look at this stock called CSE Global. All right, let me go share my screen. There we go. So this is CSE Global, all right? James, I hope you're still over here. You bought CSE at $1.21. cents. All right. Now trading sidelines. What is your view? Can hold and what resistance price to exit? Right. So very good. So you have bought it. Now I'm not too sure you got in about 121. Right. A little bit higher. I mean, of course, you have got in a little bit lower. So CSE Global, it was covered since last year. We shared it with our clients. Right. It was like around 45 cents. Got a couple of bullish, all the way up. Bearish went down for 1-2 days, and then in like November, two more bullish signal. In December, another one, and then we went even higher, right? And over the past one month, when the war started, all right, of course, saw a bit of profit taking like many other Singapore and US stocks, but so far there is still no 1 GT bearish signal. All right, let's go to turn on what I call the trailing support to see what it says, right? So as I said, this bullish signal popped up in October, right? When it was around that 70 cents. So a trailing support has popped up as well. You can see below the price. It has been following it as it move up, flat, up, flat. Then it started to go flat all the way since mid of February until now. You see, prices is holding quite well above the trailing support, right? So as I said, if you stay above, still okay, because we are giving you the space to be above, but you don't go below. All right, if you go below, then not so good. Then we will trigger a 1 GT rate bearish signal. And then if the green line also point down, then not so good. I'll probably ask you to be careful. Okay. But you ask me right now, we are kind of like still above the trailing support level. All right. So right over there, the long-term trend, the red and the blue line is also up as well. Right. So back to your question, what's your view? Can you hold what resistance price to exit? Well, you think you can hold? I think you can hold for now because there's no bearish signal, but doesn't mean hold means like hold all the way. Then the bearish signal come out, then you still hold. Then the short-term trend turn down, then you still hold. Right, then you go down, then you still hold all the way down. Then cannot be like that, right? So hold doesn't mean you just hold all the way, with a plan. Right? So if we were to break down the 115 or maybe the 117 to 115 level, then not so good. We will trigger a 1 GT bearish signal. If the green line then start to like that all the way down, and then please don't hold really lah. I mean, you need to have a plan to get out, to cut loss, to reduce your exposure, to reduce your losses. All right, you don't want to go from like 125 to 120, from 120 go to 110 to $1 to 90 cents, then you're still holding. Cannot be like, you want to get out, right? Then wait to get back in the game when the time comes, all right? So right now, I would say that, we're still above the trailing support. So it's still okay lah. I mean, over the past 1 month, still holding above. In fact, today, like rebounded a little bit. The green 20 days moving average line, still slightly pointing down. So best if you can wait for it to like stabilize a little bit, and just flatten out a little bit. Flatten out a bit, right? Then if it start to point up, different story. That's where you could think about loading up more positions to ride it maybe all the way back up to the resistance level. So back to your question now, what's the resistance whereby some profit taking can come back? Well, quite clearly, 140. All right, 140. Why? I mean, that was where we were in like February and March, right? You can see right over here. Right, in fact, right over here near 140, we got a pretty bearish candlestick bar. This is what we call something like a shooting star. All right, shooting star, whereby went all the way up to 140, sellers came back and pushed it all the way back down. The next day, we retraced lower. So anything near 140, 135, 137, 38, 39, whatever, near 140, we could see some selling coming back. All right, so that's where if you want, you could take some profit, near there, wait for a pullback, or maybe wait for it to break, right? And that's where a more aggressive entry could come back to ride it even higher. All right, so that is CSE Global. Probably sideways for now. All right, hopefully it holds above the 115, 117 level. If it does, cool, no cause for worry. But just take note, doesn't mean hold means hold all the way down when you see a bearish signal. So as I say, we have a plan not only to get in, but also to get out. All right, I think get in is very simple. You can just buy, right? But most people don't know when to get out, right? Then you see a bearish signal, then you still hold all the way down. Don't do that, right? Have a plan to get in and also to get out. All right, Ken? And that's how we have a tool like this, the 1GT Pro indicator, to guide us on that. Okay? Plus a few other confirmations that we seek as well. So as I say, if you want to find a bit more about the entire strategy, guys, link is right in the chat. We do have a last webinar next Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. on the 14th of April, right? So click on the link chat. I look forward to see you in the webinar to share with you more about the strategy, about how this tool perhaps could help you as well, and perhaps how you could have access to this One Good Trend Pro indicator as well. Can? Right, so that's for CSC Global. I hope that helps. James, let me pass on the mic to Bobby to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so maybe before I cover the next stock, I would just like to do a little bit of a quick recap because I think I saw some of you guys are asking for the stocks that we have already covered. So I think no point to actually cover twice. So after this entire live show, there will be a replay uploaded onto YouTube. You can check it out right there for the stocks that you actually have requested. All right, so starting off today, Joey covered the S&P 500 followed by the Straits Times Index. Starting from the first requested stock, Siong. All right, Siong is called OV8, then Singtel, followed by Bumitama, Agri, and then I covered Wilmar. Joey covered ST Engineering, then Sembcorp, okay, then AEM, First Resources, OCBC Bank, followed by Pan United, and then Joey just covered CSE Global. All right, so for the next stock, we're going to cover, I think, Yvonne, I don't know whether you are still here. All right, so let me just add my screen right there. All right, so I have China Sunshine, bought at 0.77. Thought of adding more at the current price, of 0.665, 66.5 cents. Is there any bullish signal for this counter now? Okay, I think I answered that question already. But maybe for those of you who are still here, with us, those 246 of you guys that are still joining us this morning or this afternoon already for this AMAS, what do you think? Should Yvonne consider to buy more, adding more DCA, more dollar cost average more for China Sunshine at 0.665? Let her know in the chat. Maybe we can see if there's some opinions here that Yvonne can actually pick up on. Vincent says no. Vincent is jumping at it. No. Okay, no. How about the rest of you guys? Should Yvonne be buying more of China Sunshine? All right. ABC says no, volume is low, sorry. So I didn't want to touch China Sunshine. All right. No, Athena says no. Jared says yes. Okay. All right. So Fiona says no. ABS says yes. All right. So user says no. AR says yes. All right. So that's a mixed decision. All right. Hikyang says wait. All right. So okay. So I think I will agree with Hikyang, and then for those of you guys who say no, I think it's more of a wait and see situation. I get it. Maybe yeah, it looks very tempting, right? It went up to the high of $84, maybe even 85. You can draw a psychological level right there. And then prices are now trading at 665. All right, 665. That is close to a 20% discount. All right, Colin also says wait. All right, Yvonne, so I think we have a mixed decision here. So what do we do, or where do we go from here? All right, so it's a 20% discount from that high. All right, 85 cents high. We have prices previously breaking that support now turned into resistance right around that 68 cents level. Right, the 68 cents level still remains as what we call a resistance. Right, previously was a support tested once, twice, 3 times, and finally in the early March, it had actually broken down. We actually saw sellers take over, not quite being able to recover until most recently on the 24th of March. That week actually saw a rebound. Right, 20 days moving average since then has been pointing down, most recently started to point up again. All right, but Yvonne, I think what you want to look out for now is that longer term trend as well, because you have bought at 77 cents, should be quite a while back. So we always want to consider this thing. We want to consider that the longer you hold a stock, the higher the opportunity cost, especially if the stock doesn't perform in your favor. It starts going down, then down and down and down. I mean, go down and sideways, okay, maybe not so bad, but if it just goes down and hits lower and lower and lower, then that is a cause of worry, right? Because that capital can be deployed to something else, a much more better stock or much more better opportunity could be present in the market, right? That longer term trend, now that red line, since January have started to point down already. right? That blue line, yes, still up. That longer term 200 days moving average still pointing up, but that 100 days moving average closing that gap, pointing down, closing that gap to from that 200 days moving average. So the moment it crosses below it is what we call a bearish crossover. So that means that longer term trend could be down already. You could see a longer term downtrend forming. And that's when you don't really want a position in this counter anymore. Right, nearer term, definitely that strength is present, rebounding from 60 cents upwards to 68 cents. The 8 cents rebound, quite good of a rebound, right? But yesterday we saw prices try to break above that 68 cents level, right? Touching 68 and a half, not quite able to hold it there. Right, pulled back, closed below that 68 cents level. Previous day as well happened, not quite able to hold above 68 cents, pulled back. Today, not much of a movement happening, still hovering at a 66 and a half cents level. So I think firstly, if you're thinking of buying, right, guys, we do not want to try to position ourselves for entry in a sell zone. Firstly, all right, so firstly, you don't want to be caught. You know, when everybody choosing to sell at that level, is a level where the probability of sellers showing up is higher. You don't want to be the one buying. You'll be the one that the sellers are throwing their stocks at, throwing down, selling down, and then you're buying. No, you don't want that. You want to be buying on strength. So when do we look out for strength? I think firstly, we have to see if prices are able to consolidate, right? Break and consolidate above the 68 cents level first. All right, 68 cents level, I think you can draw the next immediate resistance past 68 cents, right around that 72 cents, maybe 72 and a half cents level right there. That was where previously it was a support, now turned into a resistance. If prices are able to consolidate at a higher level, firstly, maybe you will see that 100 days moving average start to flatten out. Hopefully staying above that 200 days moving average, don't cross below, then flatten out, then of course maybe also not too good lah. But if it's able to flatten out, hold above, start to point up again, looking something like this, right, flatten out, then start to point up, maybe take some time lah, not so immediate, that's a good sign. Then maybe the 20 days moving average crossing both of these moving averages, both of that longer term moving averages. I think that's when we can see, maybe there's a recovery of the trend, right? Recovery of that longer term uptrend, aligning itself with the shorter term bullishness, there's shorter term momentum as well. I think that's when you want to position yourself for entry. But I think in the nearer term, if 68 cents is not being able to broken, you could see that further downside back towards that 60 cents level, and then you get caught with a bigger position. Right, so I think, Yvonne, there could be other potential counters that have been shared, requested by other participants as well during this live show. Right, first, resources, Penn United. I mean, all these prime for a breakout, good bullish uptrend. I think maybe you want to look at those counters instead. For China Sunshine, instead think of a exit. Right, think of a exit as well. So I would just want to turn on that trailing resistance. You can see the trailing resistance right around that 70 cents level, right around the 70 cents level. So if we are able to break and hold above 68 cents, head towards above the 70 cents level, 1 GT bullish signal could come in, potentially a reversal. But right now, if there's a break below the 60 cents level, potentially you want to stop your losses before it gets too wide, and then it starts to be sunken cost already. All right, so I think that is for China Sunshine. I'll pass the time back to Joey to cover the next stock. Joey?
All right, okay, let's move on to the next one. Thank you so much. Let's move on. All right, and let's add quickly about DLCs. I think there's some questions about DLCs, right? Casey Neal, thanks for joining us. Are the DLCs available for all Singapore stocks, all right, or just a limited few? Definitely not all, right? So just a quick run through. There's more than 200 plus DLC. So the link is right in the chat above, right? We have placed a link in chat, so you can go to the search. And you can see these are all the underlying stocks. So more than 200 over underlying stocks, not just in Singapore, right? But even for the Hong Kong market, for the key US indices, even some of the US tech stock like Nvidia, Netflix, Micron, right? Total more than about 200 plus, all right? Underlying stocks, not all, confirm not all. So more than 200 plus underlying stocks, Singapore, US, Hong Kong, even the market indices as well. Okay, and that's where you could trade. I mean, search for the underlying. All right, look for the. I mean, as I say, you're able to see what we call the leverage factor. So for all Singapore stocks, you'll be a 5 times or 5x leverage factor. All right, that means you can amplify your returns by 5x, by 5 times. So if the underlying go up by 2%, your DLC will go up by 2 times 5, which is 10%. All right, of course, the price will go down by 2%, then of course your DLC will go down by 10% also lah. So not just in the positive, but also on the downside as well. All right, so that's where take note is more of a short-term instrument, right? Don't just buy and then leave it there and keep it, right? You want to definitely monitor a bit of risk management as well for DLC, right? So this way you can search for all the underlying stocks, right? That is available, that has DLCs on them. Okay, I hope that answers your questions. I think another question by JP Cheng, do all shares has DLC or only certain shares? I think they're pretty much the same question, right? So we have not all, more than 200 plus. Go to the StockGen website, search, you'll be able to see which underlying shares have and which don't have. All right, okay, let's move on. Let's move on to the next stock, and that would be Seatrium, right? Seatrium right over here, $2.47. All right, Simon Tan, I hope you're still over here, right? Seatrium. Thanks for giving us a bit of context. You bought at $2.20 in late Feb. So 220, that means I think around here. Very good. All right, not too sure whether you saw this bull. We got 1, 2, 3, total 3 bullish signal from like 210 now go to 247 now. So I think you got in over here. So I mean, you have seen the bullish signals, right? And got in, then good, right? Okay, 4 buy signals since then. 1, 2, 3 only, not 4, 1, 2, 3, 3, right? Maybe typo lah, huh? Okay, still holding to see whether can hit $2.70. Okay, your 270 is where? 270 is over here. All right, so now it's 247. So you're saying, so you got in now, right? You are sitting on some profits. Your question is that maybe can go up higher, and then you can sell near 270. Hopefully, make more money lah. Correct? So let's find out. Right? Okay, so not too bad, right? You can see that for Seatrium Limited, it's more of an oil and gas play. So we have seen some strength coming back with oil prices hitting to a new high. All right, inflationary pressures in terms of the energy plays as well, pushing higher LNG gas prices, diesel prices, even Singapore petrol prices are going up. So this is a kind of like an energy play, an oil and gas play, right? So you see quite strong. In March, when stocks are pushing lower, it is moving, in fact, even higher or attempting to move even higher. All right. So 3 bullish signals. In terms of the long-term trend, well, the red is below the blue, right? Preferably, right, the red goes above the blue, but the long-term trend takes a while to play out, right? You can see we have been consolidating for most part of last year. So it's like a bit sideways in terms of the long-term trend, right? So long-term trend, I would say a bit of question mark, but green line obviously pointing up, right? So not too bad. So you want to put this level in your watch list, right? It's a very key psychological resistance level, right? That in fact, over the past few days, it seems like we are attempting to break the $2.50 resistance level. Right? So you have got in, great, you're seeing your profits, great, all right? Question, could it hit even higher to near 270 or maybe 280 or maybe $3? I don't know, right? But what I'm looking at right now is the $2.50 level. Why? You can see over the past few days, in fact, I think like on Wednesday, we went to a high of 251 and then sellers came back and pushed it down again, right? Thursday, yesterday, you went to a high of 251 and then sellers came back and pushed it down today, right? Now it's what? Now it's 247, still below, right? So this 250 is quite important, right? A lot of sellers there. In fact, we were right over here in October last year. In fact, we neared it in July last year, all right? And then we come down, I'm not saying that it will come down, but that is a key resistance level, all right, whereby it's normal to see some selling again, right? And really, I mean, over the past few days, you can see that really we go up and come back down again, right? So it's a very key resistance level, right? However, if it's a very key resistance level, right, whereby by right we should touch and come down, like what we have seen in July and October last year, right? If we can break these 250, all right, that means we go to 251. Don't come back down, you close at 251, 252, or 253, or 25 something, different story already, That is where I would say, we may even trigger a new 1GT bullish signal. That's where targets could be revised for this stock all the way to 260, 270. All right, I mean, we could do a little bit of a projection. It seems like it is doing what we call a 20 cents range each time. You can see right over here, a bit of a 20 cents range. So project it upwards, 250 all the way to 270. That is where I would say we could see the next phase of upside. So I think so far so good. I think it is looking quite bullish still. The only thing is that we just need to get past that $2.50 key psychological resistance. If that can happen, today, I don't know, but maybe next week or next week, if we can, as I say, we close above 2.5 something, 251, 252, 253, 254, whatever, okay? That is where we'll get a confirmation. I think the green line will continue to point up. If we get another 1 GT bullish signal, then it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, even better. All right, now got 3, but you got 4 or 5 or 6, then even better, right? That's where I think you could hold even more, right? Even more upside, and you can take some profit, maybe near 270. All right, but doesn't mean you can take all up, because I mean, if it's looking good, there's no reason to get out, right? There's no reason to get out if it's still looking good. Right? I think most people, because they don't know when to get out, so they're afraid they will come down and then they get out too early and then it starts going up, right? So I think right now it's still looking okay. It's only 250, right? So if you want to take some profit near 250 because that's a resistance, I think that's fine. But don't have to take all, because what if, as I say, if it breaks 250 and go higher, then wasted, you sell then go up. Make sense? All right. So take some profit if you want, but watch the 250 psychological resistance level. Cool. All right. I hope that helps, Simon. Let me pass on the mic to Bervin to cover the next stock. Bervin.
All right. Thanks, Joey. Okay. So next stock. Okay, I think we covered over 15 stocks now. Joey, do we want to do one more round before we go into the bonus stock, or?
Yeah, let's do one more round. Let's go one more round. Yeah.
Okay, sure. All right. RL. Hopefully you're still here with us. Geo Energy, sell. Okay, let's see if Geo Energy, whether we should sell. Here we go. We have Geo Energy on the screen right now. Geo Energy, is it time to sell? RL, I'm not too sure if you're still here. If you're still here, you can let me know your cost price. But nonetheless, let's just see at this current level, do we want to sell to take some profits, or what's the situation like? I believe you could already be sitting on some profits, because this is a high for Geo Energy. So you're thinking, or maybe you want to secure some profit. Firstly, I would say there's always nothing wrong to sell close to a resistance to take some profits. Right? To take some profits, to enjoy your weekend, to what today, last week, the last 2 weeks, in fact, you see prices just not really moving much, just under that 55 cents level, trying to hit higher, but every time it hits higher, we see sellers start to come and push prices back down, right? We are in that range of about 5 cents, for about 5 cents, but the trend still looks good. All right, so here leads to the next point. You do not have to take all the profits, right? You still think that the longer term trend still looks good, the red above the blue, then the 20 days moving average also pointing up. There could be further upside, right? Further upside for Geo Energy if breaking. All right, breaking the 55 cents level to maybe potentially testing the 60 cents. But you don't know, like exactly like what Energized Mood is saying. Sometimes you get a little bit impatient, don't want to go up, don't want to go down, just moving sideways, 0.5% up, 0.5% down. Normal. These are normal price consolidation movements that you can expect in the market, right? But you have a chunk of capital stuck there. Perhaps what you can consider is take half, 1/3 of the profits first, leaving some of the exposure. Why? Because the trend still looks good. You still got that confirmation that it could potentially hit higher. But you see other opportunities outside, or outside of Geo Energy as well. You can sell half of the position out elsewhere, deploy the funds elsewhere. Then after that, if you see a bullish move up here for Geo Energy, if we break above the 60 cents level, you still have exposure. All right, so I think right now, for a very quick one for Geo Energy, is what you want to do is you want to set up some alerts, right? Set up some alerts above that 55 cents level, maybe 56 cents, 56.5 cents. All right, when prices start to hit higher, then come back and watch as well. But don't forget that you are currently, sitting on some positions as well. Set up a stop limit order, set up a alert below 50 cents as well. Maybe about 58.5 or 48.5 cents. If prices hit down back towards this level, I think it's time to get out. Maybe still can get out with a little bit of a profit. If you already get out for half, this is the second half of your exit. Maybe net you will still get out with some good profits, right? So currently trailing support a little bit further away. Trailing support right now at about 45 cents. I have a 45 cents level. 2-1 GT bullish signal. Maybe another alert you could set up would be a technical alert, a 1 GT technical alert. So that's not just simple price alert. Change the condition of the alert to a 1 GT pro indicator, buy or sell alert. All right, and then click on create. Hopefully we see a buy alert rather than a sell alert. So every time we receive these alerts, you come in to monitor the chart. You don't have to wait for it to go up, stare already. It's not going to go up. You don't know. Might as well we get alerted. We come back and then take a look at the chart. All right, so that is for Geo Energy. All right, back to you, Joey.
All right. Okay, let's move on. Maybe let's go one more final round, right? Before we share with you guys the bonus stock at the end. Right, there's 2 Singapore stocks you can put in a watch list for more upside. But let's just do one more round. I think now we have gone on to we've covered like 14 stocks already. So let me just choose the next stock, right? Let me choose the next stock, and I would say that would be. I think a few of you were asking about this stock as well. Let me just pull out. So I'm trying to find the comments now, guys. Forgive us because there's so many stocks, right? More than 60, 70 over stocks. My apologies if we cannot cover all of them, guys. You'll probably take 10 hours, right? But let's move on to the next one. I think that will be for Frencken, right? Frencken. One of the, I would say, pretty good performing stocks since the beginning of the year, right? The technology sector in Singapore, Frencken. The code is E28, all right? E28. Jenny, hi Jenny, right? 9967. Is there more upside for Frencken intending to sell? Very good. Thanks for giving us a bit of context. So I think you bought, okay, I don't know what price, but if you have got in like over here, and we got some bullish signal, it was like 142, 143, now become 238. I mean, that'll be better lah. That's like about 66%. 66% in 3 months. So I'm not too sure where you got in, but hopefully it's over here, or maybe a bit higher, so never mind lah. But should you sell? Because if you sell, maybe you can go up some more than how wasted, right? All right? So let's find out in a bit. So good one, all right? You got in. Could there be more upside? Is it time to sell? Let's take a look at another one on Frencken as well, all right? Lam. Frencken, any bullish or bearish signal recently? Okay, I think I've shown you the answer already. Have got bullish signal. In fact, like a few days back, got one more. In January, you already have 12th of January, then 2nd of Feb got second one, then now recently got third one. All right, so I hope that answers your question. All right, I hope that helps you to get a bit more clarity. So as I say, guys, if you have a tool like this, right, that takes the emotions out of trading, all right, that you don't have to second guess, you can turn it off and then turn it on to get the clarity you need. All right, can you guys do you guys agree that that's where you get more a conviction on the particular trade that you want to buy or sell? I mean, of course, if you turn it on, you want to buy, then you see like red color bearish signal, then of course, please don't go and buy lah. But if you see bullish signal, do you think that you will get you more conviction to get in? All right. So if you want to find out more, guys, attend the free webinar, right? The link is right in the chat. Next Tuesday, the last webinar of the quarter, or maybe the next few months, right? When it's not really my full-time job, right? We'll share more on the one good trend strategy and perhaps how you could have a tool like this, an indicator like this to guide you. All right, Ken? Okay, Ken. Now, let's take a look at Frencken. So my take is this. I mean, this was one of the stocks that we shared with our clients in Philip Securities since like beginning of the year. Why? As I say, because we got a couple of bullish signal. Pump, right? If you ask me in November, December, I'll say wait first lah. You can see, you can buy for what? You buy 160, gonna stuck lah, then go all the way to 140, right? So you don't buy first, all right? Same thing over here. You buy, all right, from 160, go all the way down to 140. So also gonna stuck, right? So wait for that bullish signal over here. You see, pump, all the way up, right? Every time you get a bullish signal, you see for yourself, you can see what happens. But doesn't mean a bullish signal means we anyhow just buy or so lah. A bullish signal will be just one confirmation that we seek. One very powerful confirmation that we seek, in fact, all right? But if we got that very powerful confirmation, plus other confirmations, right? In terms of the trend, the long-term trend, the short-term trend, the railing support that just now I've put out and showed you guys, right? Plus some other things like candlestick, volume, and other stuff, that will be even better. All right. So we have a 7-step checklist that puts everything together in a framework, all right, whereby anybody would be able to follow. If you get 4 out of 7 points in the checklist, it's a go, right? It's a tick. It's a go for it trade, right? If it's only 1 out of 7, then wait first lah, be patient lah, right? So in this case for Frencken, quite clearly, well, we got a couple of confirmations, bullish signals, short-term trend also turned up, long-term trend also up. So don't need to think so much. In fact, I think since March, when everybody is coming down, there's no bearish signal, you know. The green line, in fact, still pointing up there. All right, maybe sideways a bit, but over the past few days, seems like the green 20 days moving average line is starting to point up even more. All right, so what I like is that over the past few days, seems like we have attempted to break that $2.20 resistance level. All right, you can see since like March, when the war started, we also came down, then go up, then come back down again. Right, in fact, we got a pretty bearish candlestick, something like what we call a doji. All right, a doji right over here, whereby it went above 220 and then sellers came back and pushed it all the way down. All right, and we traded lower, and then now we have gone above that 220 again. So now it's 238, which is quite good. It's quite a firm break above that 220. So I think targets could be revised, right? Targets could be revised higher. I think based on this consolidation phase, we could revise our targets maybe all the way to 260. I think 260 could become like a near-term resistance level after 260. Right? Then maybe all the way to that $3 psychological resistance level. So not too bad. I think anything above 220 lah. Right now it's a bit higher already, but anything above 220, we could potentially start to see the uptrend continue, right? And it attempting to find a new high. All right, unless we see a bearish signal, red one coming out. Right, you can see these are bearish signal. If you see, and then you see it over here or here or here or here or here, I don't know but if you come out there, then get out lah. I don't know how many percent would that be lah. Let's say you really come out over there, from here all the way to here, 100%, right? If you see a bearish signal, then get out, take some profit, never mind. Wait to get back in again. Right, be patient again, right, after getting out. Does it make sense about? All right, Ken. So that is for Frencken. I think not too bad. Definitely one of the stock in play, one of the stock that we shared with our VIP clients in Philips Securities, right, over the past few months. Those of you who are clients, check your WhatsApp. I think confirm with a few times that you received this idea on Frencken. Those of you who are not yet a client of mine in Philips Securities, as I say, if you do not have a trading account under me in Philips Securities, all right, you are trading. In order to buy and sell stock, you need to have a trading account, right? You know how you buy, correct? So if you have a trading account, but you don't get any service from your broker, nobody send you any idea, no video, no training, no WhatsApp, nobody send you idea, update, no Frencken stock like a couple of weeks back, or AEM, or some other top stock, right? Click on the link in the chat, find out how you can become a client of mine in Philips Securities, where I'm a broker for more than 13 years now, right? For free at no additional cost. You do not pay anything more. For free, to be 100% clear. All right, link is right in the chat. All right, and look forward to share with you guys some of those top stocks. In fact, yes, today I think we set out one more. Right, so those of you clients, check our WhatsApp. Right, check our WhatsApp. That stock is definitely in my watch list. Okay, Ken. Now let me pass on the mic to Bervin to cover the last stock for today before we move on to the top 2 bonus stock. Bervin, yours.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so very quickly, last stock before we jump into our bonus stocks. Peter, hopefully Peter is still here with us. Enter IFast at 905. Can still hold. All right, so 905 I think should be over the last few weeks as well. Your position just, today I think last few days, in fact, I think we started to turn a profit already, right? I think from these days here, 8th of April, prices started to move up higher. Hold on now, let me just change the... Okay, here we go. All right, so this is IFast on the screen right now. So we have prices moving higher on the 8th of April. 8th of April, prices move higher, right? On the 9th of April, just yesterday, we had a 1 GT bullish. All right, 1 GT bullish signal actually show up. With that 100 days moving average, definitely looking a little bit better since the start of March. Now it has flattened out and started to maybe even point up slightly, right? Just ever so slightly, but then 20 days moving average definitely showing strength and momentum. The nearer term is definitely there. We have broken above $9.20 as the resistance previously. Now I need to change it to a support. All right, so what are we looking for now whether we should still continue to hold on to this counter. Firstly, we have prices in a higher consolidation range. All right, it's in a higher, above a higher support at about that 920. So it opens that upside towards that psychological $10 level. Right, psychological $10 level. So that means at the current price of 936, you still got another potentially another 6 to 7% upside. Right, 6 to 7% upside as long as, here's the veto factor, as long as prices are able to hold above the $9.20 level. I think you would still be good at this point. Why? It's because there are initial signs of a reversal of that trend right now. Right, so I mean, comparatively, if you ask me about in February right here whether we should be getting in when the 20 days moving average just crossed below that 200 days moving average, everything pointing down, no, maybe not really. But I think at this point, yes, it could be a sign of a higher consolidation. We can draw a buy zone maybe from 920 all the way to about 930. So I think, Peter, what you got to do right now, set up some alerts within the under that 920 level, some alerts above that, close to that $10 level as well. Maybe perhaps we could see a replay of what had happened previously here as well. When prices indeed able to hold rebound from that 920 level, headed higher and test that $10 level. Maybe that is where you can consider to take some profits, maybe from about 980 upwards to about $10. That is where I would draw a sell zone. Can potentially take half, 1/3 of the profits first, then see if we can indeed hit back towards that high of $11, that higher target of $11. All right, so just also bear in mind with that new 1GT bullish signal, we have a trailing support right now. At about that 850 level, 850 to 860 level. Right, that's quite far. All right, so of course for IFast prices, you can see are quite volatile. So you can move very, very quickly. So you definitely want to be, on the ball about it. You want to be alerted towards any bullish or bearish moves. All right, Peter. All right, so that is a very quick one for IFast. I'll pass the time back to Joey now so we can get started on our bonus stocks. Joey?
All right, thank you so much. Right, so IFast pretty good, right? I think could be a reversal move. Finally, we got a bullish signal. Let's see if it holds above, that support level that Bumin mentioned. Right. Okay. Now let's move on to the final segment of today's AMAS show, right? Which will be like two Singapore stocks that you guys can put in your watch list. All right. So thank you so much for those of you who have stayed and joined us all the way to now. All right. Same thing. Very sorry that we cannot cover all the Singapore stocks that were asked in the chat, but we try to cover those that a lot of people were asking about, especially if they are quite popular as well. All right. But those of you who we have not covered your stocks, join us in the next AMAS session. All right. Or maybe join us in the free webinar next Tuesday, and that is where I'll share more of you about the strategy. Perhaps you could also have access to the very same tools that we are using, all right, to guide you on entry and exit as well. Okay, now let's go ahead and for me to share with you guys the Singapore stock, right? The Singapore stock, one of the top Singapore stock that is in my watch list since a couple of months back, and I still think that there could still be even more upside. And this stock will be none other than UMS. All right, so I know we have talked about AEM, we have talked about Frencken, but this is UMS. Right over here, the code is 558. In fact, some of you were asking about UMS as well, right? Eugene, UMS bought long time ago, thinking for long term, should sell or buy more? All right, good question. All right, what if you sell and then go up some more, right? Oh, good that you're even thinking about buying more. Let's find out in a bit. All right, let's see. Any of you asking about UMS? We have Kunaf. I bought UMS at 150. Awesome. Now it's 171. Hold or sell? Well, let's find out in a bit as well. So quite a lot of you, I mean, there's like 3 or 4 or 5 chat on UMS. I'm not going to show all of them, but essentially UMS, it's one of the very popular stocks. It's one of the stocks that we covered since beginning of the year. All right, we sent out a few notes to our clients in Philip Securities. You can see why, well, because we actually got a couple of bullish signals coming out. 1, 2, and the third one came out, I would say, over the past few days. All right, so the uptrend remains intact in the long term and also in the short term. Obviously, look at the green line. It was like flat down, point up since January, up, flat. Now it is still up lah. Okay, so short-term trend is up. Bullish signals are still in play. And if I can quickly turn on the trailing support level right over here, let's turn it on. You can quite clearly see that this trailing support has popped up in December, right? When we got the first 1GT bullish signal. And as UMS moved up, right, from like 115 to 130, you can see the trailing support that is below it move up as well. Up, flat, up, flat, up, flat, up, flat. Now it is like up and flat. I would say it is around the 150 level. So as long as we stay above $1.50, which we have been staying above, right, the trading support over the past 4 months, the uptrend remains intact. Obviously, there's no bearish signal. Right? What do I mean by a bearish signal? Well, a bearish signal will be this red color one here. If you see this here, then you want to be careful. But don't have, right? In fact, got another bullish one. Don't say bearish. I've got another bullish signal coming out over the past few days. So I think it's looking even more bullish, right? And the reason why we got a 1GT bullish signal was because you can see that for UMS, well, we actually got a little bit of a resistance. You can see resistance since beginning of March when the US-Iran war kind of started, right? You can see that we were kept below the $1.65 resistance level. We got a bearish candle. We went down, go up, come back down again, go up, come back down again. So 165 was a little bit of a psychological resistance level over the past 1 month, right? When the market was a bit weaker but it never go down. It just go up to near 165 and then sellers came back and it pushed it down a little bit, right? It didn't like go like all the way down, right? Like many of the other counters, right? It was actually holding quite well. Just that we saw selling near that $1.65 resistance, all right? But over the past few days, you can see that as the new third 1GT bullish signal got triggered, we have actually attempted to break and also stayed above the $1.65 resistance level. So not too bad. I mean, like 1 to 3 days and we're still above all right? So by next week, if we're still holding above the 165 or maybe even above the 170, now is what? Now it's 171, right? Well, I think that is where it could be even more bullish. There could be more upside momentum, right? All the way to where I would say that we can go to draw some targets, can do a little bit of a projection, right? From here to here, right? Seems like it's a little bit about 25-30 cents range. Target could be revised maybe all the way to 190 or maybe all the way to like $2. I mean, to give a bit of allowance. I think that could be the next upside targets if we continue to stay above the 165 to even the 170 new support level, right? So this is UMS, right? One of the stocks that we covered, we have shared with our clients in Philip Securities a couple of months back. All right, it is still looking good. It's holding quite well despite the war in the US and Iran. All right, and now in fact even attempting to push even higher. So put this stock in your watch list. Right, let's see if targets can play out, if targets can be revised, if we can hit our targets near $2. All right, in the next few weeks. All right, so that is UMS, the very first bonus stock I'll share with you guys today. All right, as I say, right, if you want to get some of those ideas faster than the time we cover it in a live call, all right, well, find out how you can become a client of mine in Philip Securities. Like many of our clients over here, all right, especially if you are, trading, all right, and of course you are scrolling through YouTube and Facebook now, you don't get any service from your own broker. It's an online trading account. You log in on the app or the website, you log in and just buy some stock. Nobody tell you what to buy. So, yeah, click on the link in the chat, right? Find out how you can become a client, right? To get some of those ideas much faster than the time we share now, whereby, it's gone up a bit already lah. Okay, now let me pass on the mic to Bervin to cover his bonus stock, right, for today. Bervin, all yours.
All right, thanks, Joey. Actually, quite sad because I was trying to, when you were doing a bonus stock, I was looking through the entire chat. Nobody asking about the bonus stock that I was about to share. I was trying to find it. I cannot find it.
Have. Yeah, I think too many.
Don't have. Okay, but no worries. I think you guys know my bonus stock for today will be SGX, Singapore Exchange. Everybody is focused on the banks, but I think this one has been quietly, very quietly going up just hitting higher and higher and higher over the last year, if you realize. All right, so for SGX, if you just want to zoom a little bit back, all right, in March of, let's say April, okay, April of 2025, all right, 10 of April 2025, prices was trading at about that $12 level. All right, so then 1 year, fast forward, exactly 1 year, 10 April all the way to 10 April 2026 today. Prices are currently already trading at close to that $21 level. It is at that $20.94 level before the market should be just reopened for trading resuming after lunch. It looks like there is still strength today showing up for SGX. All right, so here we go. We have two 1GT bullish signals that had showed up consecutively on the 17th and the 18th of March. All right, so SGX is a very, very good play. Ultimately, if you are thinking about getting into a finance play that is not in the bank, SGX primary business still is in derivatives clearing. So in times of uncertainty, many people will be using derivatives, many institutions will be using derivatives. So business has been better for SGX over the past few years. All right, so we have currently projected our target towards the $22 level. All right, about a 10% range, $2 range, a 10% range from that psychological $20 level, which is where that 20 days moving average is currently quite close to as well. It's quite around that $19.70 level. We can see that this is where previously prices had came close to, not pretty much not able to break through it, retraced a little bit towards that $19 level, and that's where it took off very quickly over a span of 3 weeks, breaking above that $20 level, now targeting that $22 level. So if you guys have previously already added SGX to your watch list, saw it move higher, you have seen that trailing support have started to pick up movement as well. All right, it is currently under that $20 level, right? It is at that 1940 level. And so for those of you having position already in SGX, thinking about where to place your stop limit order, holding it for quite some time already, you can use that trailing support level. As long as it continues to hold above that trailing support level, it will continue to look good, right? So I think, what is the price movement? All right, what is the price movement for SGX today? You can see that the price movement is about 2%. All right, the price movement is about 2% today from this day open to close. So what does this mean? Or what am I trying to drive the point across? If you are thinking of taking advantage of short-term moves, all right, short-term moves, SGX is also available for DLC trading. So meaning if you take a 5 times long, let me check if there's a 5 times long for SGX right here. Let me just, give me a second. Let me just take a look. SGX. Okay, do we have a 5 times long? Yes, we do have a 5 times long available for SGX on DLC, the SocGen DLC as well. Place the link in the chat as well if you want to actually take a look at the DLC. Meaning to say, what is the daily performance for the 5 times long DLC? If you have bought in the morning, 2%, your DLC would have approximately moved to about 10% gains for you already. All right, so I think that is for SGX, our second bonus stock for today. I think so far it still looks good as long as that $20 psychological level continues to hold. Let's wait to see if $22 will be tested. All right, so I think I'll pass the time back to Joey to maybe wrap up today's session for us as well.
All right, thank you so much, Bervin. All right, so not too bad, right? SGX, right? Definitely one of the stocks in my watch list. Thanks for covering it again, Bervin. I think, yeah, I mean, when we were talking just now in the morning, it was like somewhere around like $20.40, but it seems like yes, push even higher, maybe even attempting to break that $21. All right, quite a good, impressive move today. And I think, if I'm not wrong, I think this was definitely one of the stocks that we shared with our clients as well in Philips Securities over the past few weeks. Clients, check your WhatsApp. You've probably seen this stock a couple of times. Congrats if you have rode it, right? Seems like it is pushing a little bit higher. I think Bervin mentioned a little bit on DLC as well. So same thing, check out guys The link is right in the chat on DLC's daily leverage certificate on how you can magnify your returns by 5 times. So if SGX were to go up by 5%, the DLC will go up by 5 times 5, right? Which is 25%, or sometimes even more due to the compounding effect, all right? So that's how you could potentially, 5x your returns on that same underlying stock. Okay, so let me go to cover the 2 bonus stock again. I think what we shared today, the very first bonus stock I talked about was UMS. All right, UMS was the very first bonus stock that we covered. I covered it. Bobin covered on SGX. And just a quick roundup. And some of you were actually asking about the same, right? So asking about the same stocks. And right at the beginning, I covered the S&P 500 index, the Straits Times Index, the STI, and the very first stock that I covered was Sheng. All right, so if we will not cover again now, also look at the replay, all right, on my YouTube channel. If you miss any of the stocks, so we cover on Sheng, Singtel, Bumitama, Agri, Wilmar, ST Engineering, Sembcorp Industry, AEM, First Resources, OCBC, Pan United, CSE Global, China Sunsine, Seatrium, Geo Energy, Frencken, and Bobin covered IFast, which was the last stock that was asked for today, right? And the 2 bonus stock, UMS and SGX, right? So I hope all of you have got some value today, all right? If we cannot cover all the stocks, very sorry about that. Hopefully you can join us the next live Friday, all right? Just the type of V for value, guys. If you have got value today, especially if you have covered your stocks, you got a bit more clarity in terms of the entry, exit, right? Whether to hold or to wait or to sell. V for value, guys. If you found value, let me know. Want to make sure all of you got value today as well. All right, let's see who got value, right? Let's see. Okay, thank you so much. Keep the faith. All right, yeah, I think I definitely covered your stock, right? Keep the faith, right? Thank you for typing V as well. Value. Hee Kiang, thanks for joining us. Value. Thanks, Joey and Bobin. Awesome. Thank you. Value. Jason, Jared, ABC, Chiming, Shirley. All right, V, value, good value as well. Colleen, thank you so much. Right, so very good that all of you got value. All right, so yeah, thanks for joining us every Friday on our Ask Me Any Stock session. That's the whole point of this entire session, right? It's not really for us, all right? It's just for us to share with you, all right, to give value to you in terms of the one good trend strategy, in terms of the indicator, how we do it, how we process a stock, how we analyze a stock in a few seconds, and perhaps you could do it like us as well, which I think is very simple. Like actually anybody can do it, right? Especially with this tool that we have. So today we do have time to cover all of it, or the whole checklist, or the whole breakdown of the strategy. So as I say, next Tuesday, 14 April, all right, 7:30 p.m., all right, attend a free webinar, right? And I can't wait to share with you guys and break it all down for you and share with you guys a step-by-step framework that will, make it even clearer for you, all right? If you found today as value, I think next Tuesday will be even more value, all right? So join us. I look forward to see you in the webinar, right? And thank you so much for joining us, right? Bobin, anything to add?
All right, so like what Joey have said, yep, the next last webinar for a while will actually be coming up. So if you guys haven't attended the webinar yet, please do it. I mean, do yourself a favor. And on top of that, I know many of you are also checking about the US market, right? We're going to have the AMAS for the US market next week, Friday, 10:30 a.m. same time. If you're not a client of Joey's also yet, to find out a little bit more, just a little bit more, by clicking on the link in the chat as well. All right, so I think till next week. See you guys then.
Yep. Thank you so much, right? So, Styler, sorry, I forget to see if value, though my stock's not covered, right? Sorry, Styler, I think today I don't even know where is your... So there's more than 70 over stocks. So sometimes I miss, some of the stocks. So sorry, Styler, maybe we'll cover next Friday or something. All right, yeah. So guys, as I say, the ideas that we covered today, I think some of them like Frencken, AEM, even like ST Engineering, and some of those, right? We actually shared for with our clients on a daily basis by WhatsApp. They could have gone up a little bit higher. So same thing if you want to get in on them like earlier earlier than like when we covered today. Find out how you can become a client of mine in Philip Securities just by having a free trading account. You do not pay anything more, right? That's a final shout out in case you missed it, right? So that's it, right? Thank you so much for joining us. Signing off. Have a good weekend. We'll see you next Friday Ask Me Any Stock session again, right? And have a blessed weekend. All right, so take care. Bye bye. Bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good weekend, everyone.